bigyan ng down.
I use the knowledge of the 3 that I have, but I'm just as hungry to get another one.
All the power in the rail game. Slam up into the left.
You have to really follow your intuition and see it through.
Fitzgibbons, tail drift to change up the flow, punches it out again.
Definitely a motivation to ring the bell. You just want to live more life out here. I'm ready just to start surfing freely and hopefully just perform at my best and make some good decisions out there.
Welcome back to the show. Time for the quarterfinals for the women with Sally Fitzgibbons taking on Courtney Conlogue in quarterfinal number 1. 5 Bells titles out there in the lineup at the moment and plenty of head-to-head history between these two competitors. Should be a fantastic fight for a place in the semi-finals as both these surfers look to leap up above that mid-year cut line. Ronnie Blakey with Richie Lovett. Rich, this is going to be a big one because both these competitors have their back against the wall and they have surfed a final here against one another in the past.
It's a huge matchup here. Lots on the line, as you said. You know, they need to get above that cut line because both Courtney and Sally, they're way down there and in a really weird position on the tour that they're not really familiar with. But as you look at the bracket, no. You look at the bracket now and some of these matchups, they could be finals.
So these two are going to battle it out for that place in the semis. Courtney, she is chasing a 4th Bells title, and Sally Fitzgibbons, she's after her 3rd. But last time these two met here at Bells, it was an epic final, a classic, both posting excellent scores, separated by just a 1/10 of a point. Courtney with 16.53, Sally 16.43. And yeah, I'm expecting more of the same. Both showing great form in the earlier rounds. Courtney stumbled a little bit early on. She looked a little bit nervous, but she started to tap back into that typical Bells flow. And she's been on a bit of a magic roll here. The last 3 times that she's been to Bells, she's won the contest. She missed the opportunity to go 3 in a row due to injury. But she does have an opportunity to take it to 4. And here we go, a replay of her first ride. It looks like a nice one too.
It sure does. Courtney, just one of the most powerful women on the tour, connecting nicely through the bowl section. The tide is draining out, and these Bells bowls are starting to stand up nicely. Great roundhouse cut back to finish off.
And we haven't seen too much of that, so I think the judges will like it as we see Courtney again on the replay. That opening turn, very strong. You know, if you're going to draw a big carve on that bowl, you want to take that board right above the lip line. She was able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice and high up in the lip, but not too high. Just slicing through the perfect line, maximizing the power. And both Courtney and Sally, very calculated and structured in the way they approach their waves. There's no unnecessary sort of movement in the body. Not too much extra emphasis and flair with the arms getting thrown around. It's all about just positioning. And, well, in terms of power, I'd have to say I'd give the edge to Courtney. And so Sally's going to have to find perhaps a little bit in the progressive element if she wants to take down Courtney here.
29 years of age, surfing on her 11th year at the CT level. Has had to overcome some injuries the past few years, but she's always a challenger here at Bells. An amazing track record at this contest. 8 previous events for Courtney. For 3 wins, 2 semis, a quarterfinal, and a couple of ninths. Sally Fitzgibbons, similar record. Amazing 11 Bells appearances, 2 wins, a runner-up finish, 4 semis, 2 quarterfinals. In those 11 appearances, has only missed the final series twice. Unfortunately for Sal, it's been in the last 2 years. So she's looking to reclaim some of the magic and form that's taken her deep into the draw here at Bells Beach. And she really needs to put her foot down when you start thinking about the leaderboard. Back in 17th position coming into this contest. She's already going to be making a bit of a jump up the leaderboard, just outside the bubble with this result. But in order to make a real climb, a serious climb, maybe up into the top 10, she's got to get herself into the semi-finals or better. And really a similar story for Courtney. She's already jumping ahead of a lot of surfers who are sitting above her, just outside the bubble. But in order to crack the top 10, she's got to get herself a semi-final finish or better as well. So a lot on the line for these two competitors, in addition to a Bell's Trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, the loser of this matchup is going to be looking for a big result at Margaret River. The winner is going to take the pressure off a little bit. Looks like some amazing waves about to come to the lineup. Sally looks like she's about to get the heat underway.
Well, Courtney dropped to 6.67. Let's see how this multiple world title runner-up competitor answers back now. Clean slice off the top. Steep section to dig into here. And Sally again goes to that carving turn. The wave now starting to shoulder up a little bit, but Fitzgibbons keeps that board moving. Both these competitors are super fit and will have the stamina to finish off these rides with big moves on the end section and get themselves a long way into this draw before they start to feel a little worn out. Absolute athletes, these two competitors.
Yeah, both probably the fittest on the women's tour. And, well, Sally, she just, she is a student of the game, loves every element to the sport, trains hard, works out. And that fitness is a key down here at Bell's because the rides are just so long.
What did you make of this ride in response to Courtney's, Rich? Where do you think it fits in? Is it similar? Is it better? Or a little under?
It's pretty similar. As we watch the replay, Sally takes off, drives to the bottom, picks the moment. A nice carve on the open face. That one grinds it round a little bit further. And a third. Cutting back into that bowly section. And some nice rail work for Sally. Definitely riding a slightly longer board, and what that does is just extends the rail line a little bit for her, makes the turns longer. The other thing it does, Ron, too, it's a bit more stable under the feet. You have a bit more confidence laying into these bigger open face waves.
Well, Sally surfed so brilliantly to make her place in this round in the quarterfinals. She looked unbelievable in the round of 16, where she overcame Malaya Manuel. It was a close heat, but Sal had a couple of turns where you could actually see her gritting her teeth and pushing really hard on the rail of her board. Felt like she was a little bit more restrained on that first effort. Had a great looking wave and really just wants to stay on pace with Courtney by the looks of things. Yeah,
I don't think she was looking to push it too hard on the opening exchange. She wants to at least match the score of Courtney Conlogue, but you can see the two styles. Courtney just has that little bit extra power in the lower body, can displace, touch more water.
Let's have a look at the women's rankings for 2022. As you can see there, the cut line just indicates who's alive and performing under pressure in need of a big result. Stephanie Gilmore, Courtney Conlogue, Sally Fitzgibbons and Bronte Macaulay all still with a chance to make a big jump. In fact, there is going to be a huge shuffle in the order of competitors when we leave stop 4, because already surfers have increased their points tally and will be moving ahead of competitors, especially in the top 5. There's going to be a big shuffle there.
Yeah, it's a great event, isn't it, where it's all come down to the wire, and now so many of our established tour veterans are on the wrong end of the cut line, and they're digging deep, aren't they?
They are, yeah. Joanne DeFay, Tyler Wright, they are both going to be on the climb. I think they've already moved ahead of Malaya Manuel and Tatiana Weston-Webb, so it's going to be a different looking final 5. Or top 5 picture when we get over there to Margaret River. Scores in for Sally Fitzgibbons' first ride, 5.9.
Yeah, I think they got that right. There was just a bit more commitment to the turns on Courtney's ride. That power that I referenced before. And Sally's going to have to think, how can I get past her here? What do I need to do? And for me, she's going to have to get creative with how she performs on her waves. She's going to have to get that board up into those critical moments, try and make it more dynamic.
Yeah, my mind goes back to Jackson Baker on the men's side. He got a great looking wave, and it felt like he didn't want to risk falling off on that ride. And I think in retrospect, when you get to this point in the comp, you're coming up against form surfers. There just has to be an element of risk. Bells can often be a wave bridge where you won't get that many opportunities.
No, and the way the tide's working at the moment, and you can see, perhaps not on this shot, but on the pulled back shot, you'll see all the boils start to come up, and that's the reef starting to get shallower. What that does, the wave steepens up a lot more. And a steeper wave, you can really rip into it. You've got the opportunity to get a lot more vertical in your approach. You can start kicking the fins out and getting creative off the lip. And Sal's got those moves. Whereas, you know, I think Courtney's just going to stick to her real power game and just try and blow her out of the water.
We had the Hydro Flask deep stats on screen there for a moment. We talked about that big final here at Bells where Courtney got the jump. But when you look at the head-to-head history, 5 wins to Sal, 4 to Courtney, and an opportunity here to even things up. And she did get the jump on Sally on the opening exchange. She's up again, beautiful looking wall. And Courtney lays a deep track in that first section, changes up her approach with a big hit on the second turn, but just loses her flow going into that third maneuver. But she feels like she got some decent work done on the outside here and will look to bank a backup score. It was a great start. If she can find a big finish here, she still might get that solid number she's after. Good recovery. But a real shame that she wasn't able to link into that third move on the bowl, because the combination of those 3 moves on the outside have been scoring really well throughout the contest.
Yeah, and she linked the first 2 together, and just a tiny little hiccup on the 4th. And the judges pick up on that. They can't be fooled. They've been sitting up in that panel for too long. They've seen too many rides to be fooled here. Let's check the replay. Great looking ride here. Courtney Dix in. Carves with a powerful turn off the top, and the second more aggressive, and just hit a little bump as she was coming off the bottom, and regains very well.
Huge combo to kick off. I mean, it looks better on this angle even. You could see just how much she put into both those turns.
Courtney just laying on that hillside rail, bringing the arms around, keeping the momentum. Now watch here, sets the rail, gets the power in the bottom turn, waits for the moment, and now explodes through the turn. See how she kicked the tail through that one? Keeping the acceleration, and right here, just a slight little crease in the wave face, and she did so well to keep a balance.
Going to get a good score here. Just thinking about Courtney, the big performances we've seen from her in the past, Rich. You know, often she has the power, but her turns get a little shorter. She still puts enough into it to move big water. But here at Bells, her lines get longer.
Yeah. And
this is, you can tell this wave just suits the brand of surfing that she's got to throw at it.
Well, what Courtney has is that explosion off the top. And she does set her fins, sets the rail, waits and waits and waits, and then just hits the button and explodes off the top. And it overemphasizes what she's doing off the lip, and that's why she's starting to drop some really good numbers here.
Yeah, just with these cleaner conditions, though, really setting the rail nicely and drawing through her moves a bit cleaner.
Well, Bells forces you to do that, you know, and it's the surfers that can't elongate that bottom turn. They start to look a bit flicky, and you lose all that flow and that momentum between turns. And as you know, it's one of the first things the judges say in their morning report to the surfers. Speed, power, and flow are the key markers that they're looking for, and then they layer in progression, commitment to the turn, commitment to the bigger wave, and all those other elements.
And variation, which Courtney had through that combination at the beginning of that ride. 7.9 was the number. So Sally Fitzgibbons just falling a little behind. She needs an 8.67 at the moment to jump up into the #1 position. And with just over 19 minutes to go, she'd be back in her chances to do it. Well, Shannon is with Italo. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Italo, we know it's serious when you've already got a coffee in your hand straight out of the lineup. Well done on a big result, and you're into the next round.
Oh yeah, that was a good hit against Samuel. That was close, yeah, but I got a couple good ones, and I'm feel confident, so let's do it on the next one.
How does it feel to battle it out really wave for wave with one of the Brazilian rookies on tour?
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of hungry, you know. He's Rook of the Year, you know, and he's trying to do his best, and yeah, but I'm the game too, you know, and yeah, that was a good battle.
And preparation heading into the quarterfinals later today?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for anything. Yeah, let's go.
Exciting.
Thank you, Shannon. Always great to hear from Italo in the zone. He's kind of been just, it seems like he's cruising. When you start to slow down and have a really good look at the turns that he's doing though, Rich, he's pushing everything to the point of release. He's busting the fins out on the Bell's Bowl. He's on at the moment and really hasn't had the push to take him to a whole nother level, which he's capable of.
Yeah. Italo has started to find this unique way of making speed and aggression look really smooth, and he's really starting to tap into that flow. I want to say that a year or two ago, even amazing as he is, there were still moments where his style looked a bit jerky and a bit jittery. Now he's started to iron that out. Yeah,
have a look at the lineup. The final bracket for the quarters is set for the men, and a lot of action in the top side of the draw. A replay of the 2019 final. Felipe Toledo, John Florence, quarterfinal number 2. Owen Wright, Ethan Ewing, 2 Aussies battling in quarter 1. Callum Robson, big win for him today. Probably the most memorable heat of his young CT career so far, getting the jump on Mick Fanning. Making the quarterfinals at his first appearance as a World Championship Tour surfer at Rip Curl Pro is no mean feat. Yeah, big bounce back for the Aussies too on home soil. They had a really tough time of it over there in Portugal, but obviously here at Bells Beach, the crowd's right behind them, and a lot of pride on the line here, and also some desperation. Surfers looking for big results. Yeah, so true. And well, we're starting to get into that real atmosphere of Bells on Easter Friday. So many people down here on the sand now, up through the car park. We've got the big screen on just behind us here, behind the scaffolding, and well, why wouldn't you want to be here? Perfect Bells. On the men's side, really started to share those. The men have been sharing those Bells titles around. We've had some different names breaking through for victories. On the women's side, it's been completely dominated by a handful of surfers. In the last 13 years, just 5 different winners. Stephanie Gilmore, Silvana Lima broke through for a huge win from Brazil. But Sally Fitzgibbons, Carissa Moore, Courtney and Steph have just had their hands all over the Bells trophy here. And they're going for it again. The interesting thing is, they're battling each other in the quarterfinals here. So it's a big opportunity for someone to break through for a new victory here on the women's side. Yeah, they've been quite greedy, haven't they, really, when you break it down. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's their quarterfinal matchups now. So and perhaps just not the bell on the line. There's other incentives here. And an important next ride for Sally Fitz as we come down to the 15-minute mark. The talk in the lead up to this event was just how strong the rookies had been, but everyone who knows was very aware that the veterans were going to have a real edge here at Bells Beach, and they've certainly shown that. You can't, it's really hard to beat experience down here, and well, mate, I did 10 years surfing this place at the CT level, and I still couldn't really work it out, and I never really got a good result down here. And in hindsight, I'm looking at now going, why didn't I do this, and why didn't I change that? You have to come and spend some time here. You have to learn to surf that bowl. It's such a rhythmic wave, and it's another one of those waves that actually highlights it if you don't have that rhythm down and you can't connect. I do remember you winning the trials here early on. It was at Rincon, though, which just played right into your favour against the more experienced Bells Bowl surfers. And am I wrong, a quarterfinal matchup the year Trent Munro won, maybe? Yes, that's correct. And, well, it wasn't even here. It was down at Phillip Island on a beach break. So I really, beyond the trials win, I can't really claim anything out here. Still some great performances, Rich. Come on, mate. Thanks, mate. 14 minutes remaining here, and have a look at the crowd that's filled in anticipation of this huge quarterfinal clash. Sally Fitzgibbons, I remember her breaking through for her first CT win here. She had massive motivation. Her dad, ever since she was born, he had this mustache. He said, I'll shave it off if you win the contest. Sal put her head down then and went after that title. And
it's never made an appearance since.
No, because she's been on a bit of a winning streak. Sal, this is her 12th year. She's had 12 CT victories. Interesting to note, actually, as we send a big shout out to everyone watching on out there in the car park. We've got the big screen loaded up. The beach is packed. And there is, well, there's plenty of great stalls to check out there as well. Food on tap, plenty of drinks as well. The Cooper's deck's been popular.
Certainly has. The Victorians are definitely people that love their sport. Love to spectate and love to have fun doing it.
And it's Good Friday here, so everyone gearing up for a huge weekend and getting set to crown some champions at Bells once again. So these two surfers have been on tour relatively close in their time on tour. Sally in her 12th year, the 11th for Courtney. Both have 12 championship tour wins. Sally, though, just the numbers are a little more stacked in her favour. She's had 98 excellent heats. Courtney Conlogue, she's had 50 excellent heats, but I guarantee the majority of Courtney's excellent wave scores, excellent heat scores have come here at Bells. Yeah,
for sure. We'll say it again, time and time again. She's just has a great approach to this wave. There's an element of restraint that she shows as she's driving off the bottom, and that carve is just so dependable. You hardly ever see her fall off, even though she's doing really high risk turns, putting it all on the line. And again, just that power that she has through those turns, it's hard to match it.
Well, the surfers sensing some energy coming our way. You can see them moving further out on the bowl, just trying to position themselves nice and deep here. Sally Fitzgibbons fell behind a little on the opening exchange, and Courtney's really turned things up on Sally here with a 7.9 on her second ride. Fitzgibbons after an 8.67 with 11.5 minutes to go. Still plenty of time at this stage, but Sal, she's got to bounce back in a big way, use this priority wisely. We're going to take a quick bonsai brew break and be back with more right after this.
Going for a team shred on all of our fun boards. All my boards are intact. That means that I didn't charge hard enough. I can see people through the trees out there already. I should be down there. And now it's time to go have some fun. We got a few days off before I'm heading home.
We Are One Ocean is an initiative led by the WSL to inspire our global surf community to protect and conserve our one ocean. This year we're partnered with Shiseido, and we're working with local organisations in communities around the world where we hold our championship tour events.
All big changes start with just a single step, and I believe in the power of coming together and working together to create positive change.
Help us preserve the future of our sport. Go to weareoneocean.org.
Welcome back to the show. Looking back on the last time we were here at Bells, and Courtney Conlogue was just on fire in big conditions. Malia Manuel was chasing that first CT win. Have a look at the size of the surf. Courtney's power play, Rich, it really came into play.
Yeah, as the swell picked up, Courtney just started rubbing her hands together, because she knew that she was going to be able to lay down some big turns. And just watch this huge hack. Beats the section, and there's the elation, takes the bell.
Yeah, just such a massively sought after trophy and title when you look at the honour roll here. You know, so many world champs figured out the ingredients needed to really put together a great campaign here at Bells Beach. I just love going back in time and having a look at all the greats there. Pauline Mensah, she was a favourite. Lisa Anderson, Lane Beachley, Megan Abubo. The Hawaiians always did well. But a lot of surfers like Sofia Milanovic, Silvana Lima breaking through for such big wins. For them winning here meant so much, because it was an event that was dominated by the Aussies, dominated by the Americans. And I know they hold those titles so dear.
Yeah, and well, surefire way to mark the occasion with a big old tattoo, huh?
most definitely. But it is one of those venues where a victory here, it kind of... It makes you immortal. Your name will never be forgotten. A bit like the Pipe Masters.
Yeah.
You know, a victory at venues like that have such a long and storied history really sets you up to go down in the pages of surfing history. As we see, Sally Fitzgibbons looking to answer back here. If she can't chase down the 8.67 on this ride, she's going to want to really improve on the 5.9 to chip away at the requirement. But Fitzgibbons, you can see how hard she's working for it on this ride. Through this flat water, keeps that board moving. This is where all the hard work between events, the time in the gym really pays off. And Sal, she'll run marathons, so finishing off a wave at Bells isn't an issue for her.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Clean living, hard training.
Sally too just competes with a smile on her face. I think it helps her stay in a good mental space when she finds herself in positions like this where she's up against it. You know, you could see a bit of a grin splitting across her face, even though it wasn't exactly the wave that she was looking for. Just trying to take some positivity out of the rider and mentally stay in this one.
She surfed that wave really well, but for me it feels a little bit more of the same as the first one. As we watch the replay, a great carve to start off. Sally stays nice and low on the bottom turn, definitely riding a slightly longer board. And when Courtney takes off on her wave, just make note of how much board is in front of Sally's front foot here. Obviously wanting to take the longer board to feel more secure through those turns, but is it going to hamper her scoring ability when she wants to get up vertical into the lip?
Now, for a flatter wave, she executed turns that I think are going to help her collect some good points here. Don't know how high it's going to go or if it's going to be to the 5.9, but you can see the effort and the push on the tail of these boards at the end of each of these manoeuvres.
Almost throws in the Matt Hoy double arm layback hack. And yeah, Sal, she surfed that wave. She looks like she's ready, given a good set wave. Looks like she's ready to pounce as we wait for this score to drop in. As you said, needs to be more than a 5.90. We can confidently say it's not going to be the 8.67 at this point. A little sleepier in this heat.
I caught up with Matt Hoy just recently up at Newcastle, working on the last qualifying series event for the APAC region. And Hoy was on the commentary team, and that post-event celebration was legendary. And I think it's still going for Matt Hoy. He won in '97, so it's been a big campaign. But he had just always had those big, powerful rail turns and the ability to almost start those turns with an inverted approach. He came up into the bowl steep, so came off the bottom hard, and he set that rail early. He didn't wait till he was kind of out on the shoulder and rip it back to the pocket. He started tearing the wall apart inside the pocket, like we saw from John Florence earlier on.
Yeah, similar sort of lines on different equipment too. Hoyo used to always come down here with a 6-channel swallowtail because he felt like it just gave him that grip when he was just putting everything into those turns. And the board was matching him power for power.
So the judges did appreciate that extra effort on those rail turns, just even in her way to navigating through those flatter sections. There was some extra push on that rail. 6.03. She gets a little bit off the requirement as we dive into the Harvey Norman recap. Let's see how Courtney set up this lead. Rich, she just came out firing from the opening ride.
So see how Courtney's roping these turns around, driving them through, finishing strong, big wraparound cut back, rebounding off the foam, and just by sheer size of the wave she's getting, allowing her these ability to really get aggressive. Tighten the pocket, whack, drives hard off the bottom. That was the little slip up, but it really didn't matter in the scheme of things because she'd done so much great work on the first 2 turns.
I really feel like that little bobble cost Courtney Conlogue maybe a point on that ride. She was on her way to something really special. It was still a great combo to kick the wave off. But a 7.9 is not to be scoffed at, and it has put Sally in a really tricky position after this ride. The 6.03 still after an 8.54.
Yeah,
so
you can just see on the
spectacular's needed.
Yeah, you can just see on the replay too, just the difference in size of the waves, and looking at the turns, comparing the two surfers. You know, Courtney's going into hers and really driving through them with every ounce of power that she has, roping them around. And Sal's more of a carving action at the moment.
Courtney has quite a few points on Sally at the moment, just sitting above her in 16th position. And with this result, if she can win this heat, Courtney, she'll make a big jump up the leaderboard. She'll overtake a lot of people, but Sally's not going to give up here. Sneaks into an insider, really needs to rip the top off it, and unfortunately for her, that wave just backing off.
Yeah, Sal just she knew that wasn't going to offer anything down the line, so get back out, make sure you don't miss that next set.
That was just a wholehearted sell, wasn't it?
Yeah, really
got to her feet. Thought she'd have a look down the line and see if there was potential. It was fading away quickly, so she ditched it. And Conlogue really in the driver's seat now, Rich.
Yeah, she's in the box seat with 2 minutes to go and priority, so she will be able to control these next 2 minutes. Just asking for a time call out there in the water. Our beach announcers will give her the situation here. Looks like a couple of lines. So Sally, what she needs to do is try and push Courtney onto a wave here to give up priority, and then somehow find herself on the biggest wave of the day.
Yeah, starting to get excited about this next clash. Bronte Macaulay, she's got the call up to compete here at Bells Beach, up against Tyler Wright. Bronte really surfing well in the last round. See what she can do out here in the quarterfinals. Here goes Sal now. Again, going after this 8.54. Just a bit more urgency now, and having to push hard, being on that smaller ride. She's going to take a fall. And the campaign just sort of seems to be falling apart a little bit here.
Yeah, tough one for Sal, and just the rhythm of the sets here has gone by the way of Courtney Conlogue. And hasn't she capitalised on her chances, given she's really opened up on these rides, hasn't held back at all.
Well, I think when you reflect on those opening rides for the two competitors, which are their top scoring waves at the moment, Courtney's second wave was definitely the best wave that we've seen in this heat. But the 6.67 opener, that really is what set it up for her. She went on the attack straight away. Sal just a little bit more measured in her approach on her two rides.
Yeah, and in these inconsistent conditions, there's only a finite amount of opportunities, and we do get these slower heats. It just puts extra emphasis on the waves that you do ride. Can't hold back. There's no more waiting.
And there it is. Submission there from Sally Fitzgibbons, and she knows that there won't be another opportunity as this quarterfinal clash comes to an end, and Courtney goes on to the semi-finals. An important result for both these competitors getting themselves to this point. Courtney, though, with a big opportunity, with a huge result to potentially really relieve the pressure and lock herself into the back half of the season. An impressive performance, patient, used the priority brilliantly, and a healthy heat score total. We'll take a quick break here. When we return, Bronte Macaulay will take on the two-time world champ, Tyler Wright.
Incredible surfing from Bronte.
She's having the heat of her life.
You don't really know what can come off these opportunities. Yeah, to win bells would be a dream come true.
That was absolute textbook technique.
Is that bell in your eyesight?
100%. It's the only event I want to win. This event is special.
Great to have your company on what is a very good Friday. Quarterfinals underway for the Webb, and Tyler Wright and Bronte Macaulay will go at it for a place in the semi-finals. The winner will take on Courtney Conlogue, who just defeated Sally Fitzgibbons. Bronte getting things started here. They call up as an injury replacement. She's not wasting the opportunity. Served brilliantly in the round of 16 to overcome Tatiana Weston-Webb. Had one of the biggest heat score totals of the round, 15.66. She was only outdone by Tyler Wright in that round. Tyler with 17.24 in her effort in the round of 16. So expecting both these form surfers to light things up here. Should be a fun one. Ronnie Blakey with Richie Lovett. Rich, great to see Tyler getting back to her best in that last round.
Yeah, you can feel the momentum building with Tyler. Both on a performance level and on a personal level as well. In her post-heat interviews, she's sort of saying, you know, I feel good in my skin, I feel good in my body. It's the best I've felt in so long, and this is a pretty special moment here. I don't think the gravity of the situation is lost on Courtney here. She knows that was a massive win, getting past Sally Fitzgibbons.
Yeah, sisters in arms there, because they're both veterans. We mentioned their time on tour. We'll get back to that story shortly. Let's see what Tyler Wright can do with her first opportunity. Big wave, bit of foam on the face, but so far dealing with it beautifully. Said in a post-heat interview, she's finally starting to feel like she's back in her own skin. Battled influenza A there, and then, you know, had a long road back. There was a big after effect on Tyler, and she is looking strong here this year. And she just digs in hard on that end section and re-emerges. That'll be considered a very strong finish by the panel.
Yeah, and well, she's making that turn her own, isn't she? That drop back arm layback hack that she does so well. And this is a great heat. We've seen a bit of action right at the start. If that last heat was a bit sleepy, history tells us that the next heat usually is riddled with sets. And two contrasting styles here. Bronte Macaulay on the backhand. Let's check out the replay here, Ronnie. A nice size wave straight up into the lip. And again, drawing the long bottom turn. A nice hook back into the power source. Comes around again. Cuts the third roundhouse cutback just a little bit short, and now does some great work through to the inside. Waiting for this wave to stand up again. Bronte just working aboard rail to rail, keeping it moving forward. And she just comes unstuck on that last turn, just fraction late, but great technique here. Leaning on that hillside rail, and then when the moment arises, she strikes up high into the lip. And again, look, touching the rail, stabilizing the board as she comes off the bottom, extending through the turn. And then Tyler outside on a foamy wave. That must have been a huge set that came through before this wave. And Tyler looking very aggressive, fast on her forehand. Likes to surf very low. There's that trademark layback hack. So great exchange to start this one off.
And we've got more coming our way. Tyler having a quick look at that one. Tyler, 2 runner-up finishes. That was 2013, 2014. Plenty of campaigns here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Her first 2010. She missed 2019, but a lot of appearances in the final series of each of those events. Only missed the finals a couple of times, so back where she belongs. 6.33 on the first wave. Bronte Macaulay winning the opening exchange. Bronte on her way to her best finish at Bells already. 4 previous efforts. First time she's been into the quarters. Set wave stacking up on the outside, Rich.
Look
this is a great sight.
Classic Bells lineup. Corduroy lines to the horizon. That's what we like to see. And, well, we called it. It's sleepy heat into a pulse of sets. Bronte Macaulay, critical decision here. She needs to pick wisely. Looks like she's going to have a crack at this one, Ron.
Dropping to the bottom of this one.
Oh, no.
Race just got clipped, that inside rail, and Bronte gets knocked down. Big opportunity now for Tyler to get herself into a good position in this heat. She's going to have to duck dive under this one. That might drag her back out of position a little bit. You know, you talk a lot about just the surfing, what these competitors can do when they get to their feet, but also their ability to punch through large waves and duck dive and keep themselves in a position is key too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Bells is one of those waves that it rolls you. That whitewash is sort of rolling through.
That was a close situation there, wasn't it? That was Bronte with priority, and Tyler had a bit of a look at the wave. She was sizing it up, but not sure it would have been any easier for Bronte to get around that section, even if it didn't come down where Tyler was sitting. But here goes Tyler right now, moving through to the inside, whips that tail around, hangs on the rail for a moment, and now stands back and patiently waits for the wave to stand up again. Doing well with the end sections at the moment, Tyler. It's kind of tricky in there right now. A lot of reverb coming off the steep beach here at Bells.
Always one of the hardest finishing sections on the tour. Bells has got a very, very steep beach here, and as the waves come in, they come back down and they refract out. And that convergence with the oncoming wave and the backwash makes it very, very hard to navigate. Just another couple of lines.
Well, Tyler Wright, this is quarterfinal appearance number 62 at the championship tour level. Bronte Macaulay for her. It's just her 8th quarterfinal heat. So really interesting there. Tyler generally at this point in the competition, around 60% of the time she'll go on to crack the semis and has a pretty good strike rate there of cracking finals. But here we go, a replay of that last ride.
So a committed turn to start off for Tyler. And she'll go to that trademark layback hack time and time again because she knows it gets good points. I like that one. I really liked it. When she just loses the tail a little bit. Starts to get a bit freer.
Yeah, one of the real strengths that Tyler has, Rich, is the variation that she possesses on the forehand.
Yep. Yeah, she has the ability to sort of mix things up from the carves and the hacks, getting vertical. But she also has that ability to slide the tail out, really get loose, release through that back quarter of the turn, and add a little spice to each and every maneuver.
Well, the judges just dined out on that last ride. 8.17 into the excellent range and easily jumping ahead of Bronte Macaulay, who's now after a 7.44. Let's quickly catch up with Courtney Conlogue. What a clutch performance from her to crack the semi-finals here. She's with Shannon.
All smiles, Courtney, coming in on a big win over your good friend Sally Fitzgibbons. Talk to me about that moment in the water just at the finish between the two of you.
Gosh, it was kind of funny. I came across a photo of Sal and I, and it was us when we were like, well, I was 14 and Lamento-wise, and we were on a boat trip, and I was just thinking back to all those amazing times we had. And you know, I have so much respect for Sal, just her work ethic and discipline, and I knew it was going to be a massive battle. We had a final in 2016, I believe, together, and it was quite a rally. So very grateful to have gone through. I needed that, and yeah, now she's got some expectations on me, so I'm like, okay, I'll keep going.
Fantastic. Talk to me about getting to catch a couple good waves out there.
Yeah, you know, I saw how slow it's getting, and I just went, you know, if I see anything come at the start that looks like a 6 or above, I am going. And I saw that one come through, and I heard the countdown. I went, oh, I want to try to get my scores on the board, and it worked out. And just, yeah, super stoked, you know. Wish there was a couple more waves, but I was happy to be on those opportunities.
And what will it look like for you now preparing for those semifinals?
Probably take a nap. And, you know, just reset, you know. The conditions are evolving, so probably get my eyes away from it a little bit so I don't surf 1,000 waves like a frothing grom, and just keep plugging away.
Well done out there. So proud of your performance. We'll see you in the next round.
Thank you.
Yeah, unbelievable performance. Great interview there with Shannon Hughes. Courtney Conlogue was under so much pressure coming into this event. There was some self-doubt, and we heard it, Rich, up in the car park, traveling with her mum, who's just trying to keep Courtney's head in the game, and you could see it in her performance through the early rounds. Over at Winky especially, she just did not look herself.
No, she didn't, and there was that heat where she was actually losing. She was looking at exiting the event right in the early stages, but there was that moment where she made the decision. She went straight under the two of rookies, went inside, picked up a little sneaky inside wave underneath them, got the score she needed, got herself out of jail, and I think from that moment on is when she clicked into gear, because now what we're seeing now is textbook is vintage Courtney Conlogue, just attacking these Bells walls.
It feels like when you're watching her now, she's not thinking while she's on the wave.
Yeah.
She's really just reacting. It's instinctual. The turns are getting better. The scores are going higher. She's got a chance to win a 4th Bells title in 2022. Bronte Macaulay, she wants to crack her first CT final, but that isn't going to help after a 7.44. And this is already turning into a very high scoring heat, but Tyler Wright's just been gifted another big advantage here. Priority, potentially set waves on the outside, rolling our way once again.
Yeah, and this is the rhythm of this place. And at the moment, Tyler's got the rhythm with the better waves, and she's got the rhythm with her performance. She's building. She's starting to get big scores on the board, and Bronte needs to be careful that that Tyler doesn't get too far away from her, because given the chance, she is really going to she's going to attack here.
Loving the show, loving the performance of the competitors, and loving this place. The Rip Curl Pro acknowledges the Wadawurrung people, this country, the traditional owners of the land and the waterways, and we're gathered here on Jarak, the original Wadawurrung name for Bells Beach. And we love our time here. We want to send a big thank you to all the Victorian locals who make us feel so at home here, who make our competitors feel so special and get behind them as they charge down the famous Bells steps and look to etch their name into the most famous trophy in surfing. You got to win it to ring it, Rich.
You do. You have to win it to ring it, and don't you dare put a finger on that bell if you haven't even.
It's just here. It's just asking.
I know, it's so tempting. We're sitting right next to it, so it is tempting to have a little ding-a-ling, but I wouldn't dare. It'd be bad juju for the rest of your life.
Oh, it's just cool just to think who has held onto this magic trophy as well over the years. I mean, we've touched on some of the greats on the women's side. You know, world champions.
I got some greats over here, mate. Stephanie Gilmore, Sally Fitzgibbons, Carissa Moore, Courtney Conlogue, Steph again. As you repeat, they're repeat offenders when it comes to winning the bells here. So it's well, here it is here. Have a good look at it. That's what they're after.
That's it. Just begging to be rung, isn't it? And we'll get that opportunity maybe as early as tomorrow. We could be crowning champions here tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll be sussing out that forecast. Still a lot of time left in the window, but it's been great to have the forecast kind of turn around. And yesterday we had one of the most magical days of competition. Today's been much the same. Some big performances from the world's best. Loving the opportunity to show up for this crowd and everyone watching back home online. 19 minutes remaining here. Tyler Wright in a great position. You know, I think Tyler at the end of 2019 made a competitive return that was just promising so much. She made the final. She still hadn't fully recovered from that influenza A that she'd contracted, and I think we had a big expectation of how she performed last year, but she was still on the mend as she made her way through the schedule last year. She didn't make the final 5. She was there on hand to lend her insights as a commentator, as an analyst for the finals, which was awesome to see. But this is where I like Tyler Wright, right in the mix, competing for event wins. She's been a fantastic champion, and at the moment, she's really got a sight set on the Bells Trophy. That's the only thing she's thinking about this year.
Yep, absolutely, and she's made it very, very clear that she does want to ring that bell. But Tyler's one of those competitors that's at her best when everything's at ease in her life, and she's been open with letting us know that, you know, right now she feels in a really good space. It's been a personal journey of such over the last couple of years, so it hasn't just been a physical journey, and we feel like she's really settling into who she wants to be as an athlete and a competitor, and we're starting to see the best of it coming back in there, because we missed it. She was so dominant there on the tour for a while, and you know, you get these ebbs and flows in your career. She's been through the ebb, and now she's getting into the flow again.
Well, her first world title year was one of the most dominant world title runs that we've ever seen. She won 5 events that season. She stitched it up pretty early. The second year she had some obstacles to overcome. A knee injury, she wore a brace in the final event, still managed to win that second world title, and you just saw her coming back the next year, and you were thinking, who's going to stop her? She's been so strong. Her surfing just went to a whole new level. But you know, all the world champs, she had a similar run to John Florence, actually. They won world titles the same year, and they've both been fighting injuries since to try and get back to the top.
We see it happen so often. You know, I think about Mick when he ripped a hamstring off the bone there, came back a bigger, better version of himself. I think it educates you about your body when you have an injury. You really start digging into, how can I be a better human? The mechanics of my body, how can I get the most out of it? And then you start linking it with your equipment, and you create this holistic view of what you need to be a champion. So beware the wounded athlete. That's a pretty cliche saying. I didn't make that one up, but my point is, you know, sometimes you got to go through some adversity to be able to appreciate your moment at the top.
Get a bit of grit.
Get a bit of grit.
And Tyler's showing that at the moment, and another surfer who always shows that resilience is Sally Fitzgibbons. She's with Shannon Hughes.
Sally, this is a tough one to swallow. It was a heat without a lot of opportunity for you or Courtney to show what you can do here at Bells, to show why you've got those wins out here in the past. How is it sitting with you now?
Shannon, that was very torturous. It's like you watch perfect waves all day and you sit there and then it turns into a swimming pool, and I was like, oh, I just would have loved to just open the wings on one of those ones I was watching all day, but that's how surfing goes. I enjoyed the view though. I looked in and there's like crowd and people. My mum's up in the stand, my dad's on the stairs. It's pretty cool, and even walking up, like standing there and seeing my name, like I've had so many good memories here, and yeah, it's a warm feeling, definitely torturous, but I've loved my journey this year.
And with you and Courtney both in a very tough position heading into that quarterfinal, what does it feel like to go down to your good friend now advancing through with some hope into Margaret River?
Oh yeah, that was the heat. Really, like all of them, you kind of like, this one, including the one against Steph, like round 3 in Portugal, we're like, whoever gets this one is like kind of moving up the ratings, and the other one keeps kind of tumbling back down. And unfortunately, that was me this year. And Court and I were both there, and I thought, you know, there's still the fairy tale finish, and I was leaving some space for that, you know, to ring the bell and, you know, skyrocket up the ratings and the confetti goes off. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. So if it doesn't happen in this case, I'm so happy for one of my best mates on tour. You know, we've had some of the best free surfs leading up to that heat, so many laughs, and I hope she goes all the way and that she can make the cut.
Well, she just showed me a photo of the two of you when you're about 14 on an Indo trip, so it's great to know that battle went down between two good friends. Well done out there, and we'll see you in Margaret's.
Thanks guys, thanks for watching. Hi to everyone back home, love you.
Good on you, Sally. And have a look at that, a photo of Courtney and Sally as Groms on a trip together. Plenty of history shared between all the athletes on the CT. You know, they've come through the junior ranks into the amateurs, that second tier competition, the qualifying series, now the challenger series, and now they're competing on the big stage.
I just want to mention that a first round loss for Sally would have been devastating, would have been next to impossible for her to make that cut line and get out of trouble. but she's made the quarters, so I'm sure she's going to move up the ratings somewhat, and she's given herself a chance coming into Margaret River, where she's very, very favoured as one of the top competitors there.
She's improved her seed as well, which is an important note to make as we see Stephanie Gilmore gearing up to take on Carissa Moore in quarterfinal heat 3. Stay with us.
Going for a team shred on all of our fun boards. All my boards are intact. That means that I didn't charge hard enough. I can see people through the trees out there already. I should be down there. And now it's time to go have some fun. We got a few days off before I'm heading home.
I think it's so cool to see all the progression in women's surfing. It's really just taken off, and it's super cool to be a part of it. Yeah, if I can just leave a mark on surfing as someone who worked hard and never gave up, that would be pretty special.
The things I love about the Great Ocean Road, we have incredible surf breaks, we have amazing little towns, and then the 12 Apostles, one of the wonders of the world. Bells Beach is one of the most incredible waves. There's no other feeling like it in the world. Melbourne is a really beautiful city, but getting down along the Great Ocean Road, it's so different. Being back down on the Great Ocean Road, it feels like a second home to me.
Welcome back to the show. Great to be here watching the quarterfinals unfold. Semis are being established and trying to determine who's going to take on Courtney Conlogue in semi-final number 1. Bronte Macaulay with some work to do at the moment. Tyler Wright's last wave in the excellent range, an 8.17. Also holding on to a 6.33, which she might try and get rid of here. Tyler using her priority, scratches into this one, drops straight to the bottom. And she just pumps her fist in frustration there because that wave faded away to nothing. And that'll give Bronte an opportunity on the outside.
Feels to me, Ronnie, like both our women for that first wave were positioned a little wide of the bowl. Here goes Bronte.
Up into the hook, and Bronte lets go of a little backhand jam there and winds her way around the foam to fit in another turn, but she's after a big score here. Not going to give up on this one, hoping for a steep section before the shore break. She'll find it, drives up into it. Nice backhand jam there. Now, if she can't get the score that she needs, she'll want to improve on the 7.07 to reduce the requirement and increase her chance of getting ahead of Tyler coming into the final 10 minutes here. Onto the back of the Red Bull ski. What's your feeling, Rich, on that wave? Was there enough work done on the outside to...
I don't see it going north of the 707. It was just a bit of a horizontal snap to start things off. A deeper bottom turn here. And another snap that was quite short in the arc. And then just a series of cutbacks here. Finished nice and strong, but I just don't feel like there was enough outside work done to get above that 7-point ride. I'd like to see both these women just going a little deeper in the lineup and really getting those 3 connecting turns through the bowl section.
Well, Bronte just will be getting control of her breath here and just trying to gather herself for what's to come, because it feels like she's still going to be chasing that big number as Tyler looks to get rid of the 6.33. Couple of big turns on the outside. There's that variation that Rich was touching on earlier on. The ability to swing that tail around. It's a real point of difference when everyone else is throwing calves, to be able to drift those fins a little bit. almost pushing her board to the point of release a couple of times there as she rolls now through to the inside, climbs up into the lip, sends a bit of spray up into the sky, and a nice floating move to finish there. That was right on the beach, and we haven't seen much of that kind of celebration from Tyler before. She's feeling it out there at the moment.
Yeah, she is, and she should be feeling it too. Great surfing, confident. Way down the beach there. Almost at the paddle out behind Winky Pop. The board looks good. She looks good. The timing's on.
Just the commitment there on the end section from Tyler. Very strong. And you can tell just how determined she is to get the big trophy here and write herself into the history books, of course. She's already done that as a two-time world champ and multiple event winner. When you look at the CT victories for the surfers on the women's tour, Tyler's right up there. Of the surfers on tour, she's the third most winning on 14 CT victories.
Committed snap on the first one and the second one. Just getting that release through the second turn. Roundhouse cut back into the foam and another one. Just leaning on those rails, confidently hits that section, and then the closeout re-entry to finish off right on the sand. Then the emotion comes out.
Thinking about what we've seen so far from the women on the outside section here at the bowl, this was a refreshing approach. Really different. A lot of variety in those first two turns, and they were high-risk manoeuvres, Rich, on a steep wall.
It was done on the biggest wave of the heat so far, and that's what the true champions do. If you want to ring this bell, you need to attack, and you need to attack every section. And Tyler, well, she's really starting to feel it now.
Yeah, massive commitment on the outside, and Tyler, she was lucky. She got to the inside, and there was a nice critical section. Not a piece of foam on a flat bit of water, but a nice barreling section to throw a big lip line floater on, and she stomped it right on the beach. 9-point ride, and now Bronte Macaulay finds herself in that horrific position of chasing 2 scores with not a lot of time left on the clock. So Tyler Wright really firing up now.
Yeah, Tyler just, wow, dropping the huge 9-point ride here. She's got Bronte Macaulay in combination with just under 6 minutes to go, meaning Bronte needs 2 really good rides if she wants to get out of this heat. So we see Stephanie Gilmore heading out for her next exchange.
Well, we spoke about the domination of the 4 surfers in the quarterfinals. We had 5 Bells titles in quarterfinal number 1. We've got 7 in this next one between Stephanie Gilmore and Carissa Moore. Steph, 4 Bells wins, and she's looking to break the deadlock with some absolute champions here at this location. Lisa Anderson, Gail Cooper, obviously, I don't know if anyone's going to track down that, but in the professional era, Lisa Anderson, she's equal with Lisa at the moment. So history beckons. 5 minutes to go here. Tyler feeling great about that last ride, and yeah, we haven't seen too much of that kind of passion from Tyler. I think, you know, with your health and having a big scare in that, with that, I think it gave us some deeper perspective and just where surfing fits into her life. But it feels like she's getting the fight for competition back.
Yeah, you can feel the energy in her response, can't you? But it was Bronte Macaulay who started quite well in this heat. Kicked things off with a 7-point ride, but then Tyler came, she came fighting back and just showing us something different, something new, getting the judges to sit up in their seats again. And just look at the difference in speed. Tyler just going just that little bit faster. The moves are crisper. Bronte getting a little caught up in her turns.
This is the one we wanted to see on the Harvey Norman recap. Monster first turn, but the second one's better.
Yeah, drives around, gets the release. Throws the board straight back under her feet and then right back into another roundhouse cutback.
Well, Bronte had to make her move. Wants to break combination and give herself a chance going into the final stages of this heat, but she's going to get caught behind on this one.
Oh, you just feel for Bronte here. She just hasn't been able to connect with a decent ride in the final half of this heat. And condition change too, Ronnie. A slight onshore, excuse me, has started to come up, and it just hasn't phased Tyler one bit, hasn't altered her approach. She is well and truly in attack mode.
Well, Tyler kicked off her campaign in the opening round, finishing in second spot behind Malia Manuel, but in the round of 16, 17.24 heat score total. She's gone extremely excellent again here, 17.17. And Bronte's not going to break combination, obviously, with that last ride, just getting stuck behind it. So this one is almost completely out of reach now. As more sets stack up, Tyler with an opportunity to potentially drop the 8.17 and increase this heat score lead.
Yeah, well, choosing not to take that one, and the idea behind that is Tyler's thinking, okay, I've got priority. I'll just wait until I absolutely have to take off, and if I think I'm going to bet her at 8.17, which she obviously thinks she's going to on this one.
Well, the door might have already been shut, but Tyler Wright is going to open it again and slam it in Bronte's face. That first turn, so committed, incomplete, but she could afford to throw some risk at it, Rich. She's so far ahead.
Yeah, she's way out in front now. There is really no way she can lose this heat. Not with only 2 minutes to go. There's just simply not enough time now for Bronte to fight back.
In these situations, as a competitor, you know, with a lot of pride, do you just want to get that wave and break the combination? Like, is that a major goal? Do you think about that?
Yeah, you do. You really do. And you know, at the end of the day, you want to put in a very satisfying performance for yourself, but you also want to put on a good show for the spectators and all your family and your friends and your sponsors, and you want to prove your position, and you want to show everyone that you deserve to be in this matchup. Of course, Bronte Macaulay has done that and some, earning the right to be here. But yeah, she does want to break combination here, and she's going to need well, at least about an 8-point ride to do it.
Yeah, pretty interesting. We've got the two highest scoring surfers of the contest out there in the lineup in this quarterfinal clash. I mean, Tyler's got the two best heat scores by a long way now. But it was Bronte with a 15.66 two-wave total in the round of 16 as the third highest heat score. So she has a lot to be proud of, getting the call up as a replacement surfer. And surely she's going to be in the event in WA. Surely.
Oh, you would have to think so. She'll be on home turf. And, well, she'll be a real threat at Margaret River. We know she surfs that break so well. We'll have the hometown knowledge. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen here today. And we're going to see Tyler Wright moving through to the semi-finals.
Well, there's Team Rip Curl there. Fletch, who's probably the most featured individual on any WSL broadcast, always popping up in the background. Brooke Farris, she's running the show now, doing a fantastic job. And Brooke has known Tyler since she was just a grom, a young teenager, when she first joined the Rip Curl team. So she's had a great relationship, and I think the reason for Tyler's comfort at this venue, much the same as Mick Fanning, is they're so well supported down here in Victoria. But what a convincing victory. An amazing heat score total again from Tyler Wright, and she'll take on Courtney in the semis. Stay with us, because after the break we've got a clash of the Titans. Carissa Moore taking on Stephanie Gilmore.
obviously we're all competitive and we'd love to win another one. You definitely go on to win titles and stuff when you can crack that Bells win.
The fluid style of Steph Gilmore.
I've got Carissa in the next heat, so if you can take them out early, better for me. To be honest, Carissa's sitting pretty. She's made the cut. No, I need this more than her.
It would be really cool to win another bell. I haven't really thought of joining that crazy elite list of 4 bells, but it would just be really special to win another one.
The match of the day between Stephanie Gilmore and Carissa Moore. Out in the lineup with Steph, straight into it on the first wave. Straight up into the lip, connects together for a second turn, and she gets caught behind the section, the 7-time world champion against the 5-time world champion. As a 2-time world champion has just taken out the win. Tyler Wright taking out Bronte Macaulay in that last heat. It was an exciting one. Shannon Hughes and the 1978 world champion Wayne Rabbit Bartholomew here to call the action.
Yeah, Shannon, we've got an amazing quarterfinal on our hands, and well done to Tyler Wright. Gee, she really laid down some big lines out there. It got a little slow out there, inconsistent, but when they came, they were bombing bell sets, and Tyler dominated them.
Absolutely dominated it. Found herself with a 17.17 heat total.
On everything.
Yeah.
And set that theme.
Awesome.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
With a quick chat to Andy King.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Pumping bells. Did you want to bring that up?
Yeah, do you want to take, take that one up for sure. And then I'll sign a few. I'll say the kids.
Getting ready to sign some autographs for the kids down there. True champion in Tyler Wright, and it's been so fun to watch all the surfers come in and all the little Grammies here with hopes of one day paddling out in a Bells jersey themselves, getting to rub shoulders with the best. Steph Gilmore opens up with a 3.67. Carissa Moore now out the back with priority, and we know Carissa's sitting in a great position, number 2 in the world, hopeful to steal that yellow jersey away from Brisa Hennessy somewhere in this year. Brisa still hanging on to it, and Steph Gilmore with some work in front of her, sitting down at number 14.
Yeah, Steph's well and truly outside the bubble. She's had a slow start. She missed an event completely. Now, when they do the cut, you're allowed to throw away an event. Like her throwaway is the event she didn't even get to compete in, so she missed pipe. So that really kind of put her behind the 8 ball, because at that point then she couldn't afford any more slip-ups.
Yeah, it was so much pressure for her, knowing that she wasn't going to have any points coming through for pipe. Then she had that early knockout in a 9th place finish at Sunset, the round of 16. Did find herself with a semi-final opportunity at Portugal, which brought her back into the game, because on the women's side, Rabbit, it's really crucial to get into that finals day picture. When we're looking at the cut and it being 10 women on the line, getting those 5th place results at least is super important.
That's right. 9s definitely don't help you in the women's draw, in the women's race, because you know, there's a smaller field, but the cut's only 10 as opposed to 22 for the men. In the men, a 9th place in the first 5 events is an absolute keeper, but not in the women's. And here's some lines coming through, so we're seeing some pretty decent sets.
Some pretty decent sets for a couple of world champs in the lineup. Between these 3 women, 14 world titles. Steph Gilmore with 7, Carissa Moore with 5, and Tyler Wright, who just took out the win in that last heat, with 2. They've been so dominant over nearly the last 15 years.
They sure have, and Carissa definitely has picked up the pace. There's a lot of 4-time world champions now. Lisa Anderson, Frida Zamba, and Carissa was in that mix, and now she's a 5-time world champion.
Great to see her get that step ahead. We'll see if she's able to find that step here at Bells to get a 4th bell to her name as well.
And Wendy Botha.
And Wendy Botha. Lots of incredible women that have won multiple world titles. And it's always a tough battle to win a single one. It's even tougher to back it up. But then when you consider the momentum that a surfer has to carry through for years on end, with fields that change, with new rookie classes and new performances of progression coming through in younger surfers as well, there is so much to say for these women who have gotten up into those numbers that Steph and Carissa have with the 5 and the 7.
And the depth in women's surfing now, I mean, world titles are really, really tough to win, that's for sure, because, you know, when you think about, you know, the Courtney and Sally and obviously Tyler's won a couple, but the depth is incredible. Lakey Peterson. And then the newcomers, and the rookie class is so brilliant this year that it has caused some major upheavals in the early going of the tour.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of the world titles that a Courtney or a Sally or a Lakey, like you said, could have if Carissa and Steph hadn't had that momentum all this time. It's been a very slow start to this heat, Bugs. We've got a 3.67 on the scoreboard for Steph Gilmore.
Yeah, and we had Carissa looking into the beach a bit there. She might have been trying to work out her positioning. Obviously not much you can do without the sets. But, you know, we have seen in the last couple of heats, we've seen bombing sets and then not much in between. So I think Stephanie decided to get one under her belt. She just got caught behind that section through the bowl. She only got a 3.67, but it's something.
And we got a good friend of these two out in the lineup, Laura Enever, checking in with us. What do these two get up to today before the quarterfinals headed out for the women?
Yeah, it's been a huge day for the girls. Well, they haven't really surfed yet, but I know that they've been watching and keeping a close eye on all of the men today. I know Steph has been down in the competitors area at the Red Bull Athlete Zone all morning. I was asking her, are you going to go home and get some rest? But they knew that the quarters were on standby, but Steph just wanted to be there in the zone watching. And I know it's sometimes hard, you know, when you watch all morning and you see these incredible waves come through, and you come out and, you know, for the girls now the wind is just huffed up a little bit and it's slowed down just for now. I feel like the waves are going to start again, but yeah, Carissa on the other hand actually heading home and you know, resetting at home and getting away from the contest site. So two different approaches there this morning for the girls, but I mean, wow, what a heat. 7 bells between both of these girls. Carissa will be wanting to catch up to Steph and hunt down that 4th bell as well, but yeah, I really just hope they get some waves. So I'm doing like the wave song dance right now for them.
I love that, Laura. I love the insight to know that Steph was down here checking it out, that Carissa actually went away, kind of cleared her mind to come back into it, and this will be the 27th head-to-head matchup for these two. It's pretty incredible to think of the knowledge that they have against each other in these head-to-head matchups. Down to 25 minutes on the clock, and just so patiently waiting for those sets to roll through. Rabbit.
Yeah, well, we've had 10 minutes now, and well, 9 minutes, and really not a proper set come through. We had some nice sets at the end that we saw Tyler snag, like, you know, a solid 6-foot set towards the end of her heat. She came in with that massive total. She got a 9-point ride, 9+. So they're out there.
They're definitely out there. Now it's keeping that composure, waiting it out, waiting for those sets to roll through, and then being able to perform in the moment, especially when there's so many fans down here on the beach. It's absolutely packed. You got the cheers of, you know, the kids hanging around. They've got the pressure of knowing that their families are here behind them, their partners, their coaches. There's so much coming into that equation when that set finally does roll through, as we take a look at a very packed Bells Beach today.
Yeah, the first day, it's Good Friday, and it's a great Friday here at Bells Beach for the Rip Curl Pro. The fans are lining the shore with that tide going out. The beach is a little wider. There were some surges coming up on the high tide. You could see them kind of getting cramped up against the cliffs.
A few backpacks got wet today, no doubt.
That's for sure. A couple of kids might have lost their Ugg boots.
Tyler and Bronte coming up the stairs, and really exciting to see Bronte Macaulay find some rhythm in this event specifically. She had a great heat in the round of 16, and it's so exciting to be able to see someone like Bronte, who's just such an incredible surfer, but has lacked that momentum sometimes in her heat surfing to take her to the results that we would expect that kind of goofy foot to have.
Yeah, Bronte had a fantastic performance yesterday. She was just on fire. Today, she just wasn't able to really nail it. She went for it big time, and I think she might have felt the pressure. Tyler was getting some big scores, and she felt like we've seen a little bit of that today. Surfers really pushing the envelope and coming unstuck, kind of going maybe beyond their comfort zone.
26 head-to-head matchups between these two women. Carissa has gotten the better of Steph within those. 14 wins to Steph's 12.
That's still pretty close.
It's still very close.
And, you know, I mean, you take one off each, it's 13 all. I mean, 26 matches. That is amazing.
It's incredible to think, you know, Rabbit, you would have had some classic matchups in your past and some rivalries of what it's like to paddle out and know someone like that so well, to know some of their personal strategies that they'll be drawing on in moments like this as we take a look at the deep stats powered by Hydro Flask.
Well, that's right. See, you know, as far as being contenders, this would be about as early as they've ever met. Stephanie and Carissa over their careers would have met more in semi-finals at the earliest, a lot of finals. Quarterfinals, and I couldn't imagine them meeting any earlier. And the thing is that as contenders, you're really only surfing against, say, 4 or 5 other surfers, really. And at the top of women's surfing, these two have gone for so many world titles. And Steph having a look at this, it'll be a late takeoff, but there's something behind here.
Rabbit, in those 26 matchups, you nailed it. Only 2 of those matchups have been outside of the quarterfinals, semifinals, or the finals. So the majority of them coming down to major points on the line, world titles on the line for the 2 of them. As we've got Carissa Moore now with a paddle using priority on this wave. She has sat quiet for over 10 minutes, looking for this big opening carve, and there we go. Unleashes, opens up on the first turn, straight into the second. You can see the hunger within her surfing, driving through in that third wrap back into the foam. Now cutting it back and setting up for this finishing section. She's going to patiently wait for something a little steeper. It goes quite flat on her. It would have been a lackluster finish to what she would have been hoping for, but well negotiated on the outside section.
Yeah, it's all happened on the bowl for Carissa. The inside was just real crumbly and just white water. There wasn't any steep section for her to do a great finishing turn, but she banked the points on the outside.
As we wait for scores to roll through, Carissa straight up onto the ski, and now Steph sits out the back with priority. In their most recent matchup, Steph's actually gotten the better of Carissa, which is surprising because Carissa's had that momentum in recent years, winning those multiple world titles, and that it's been Steph in these head-to-heads where she's taken it. Most recently, it was in the semifinals in Mexico last year. As we take another look at this one on another right-hander here at Bells.
Yeah, and Carissa, she had to make sure she got around that bowl section. Got 2 turns on the outside, one in the bowl proper and one just on the edge of it. And then after this, there's not much scoring opportunity left in this wave. As you can see, it's crumbly there, and then as she comes around to this section, it's just a bit too weak to even do a you know, a tiny little Rio. It wouldn't have been worth much anyway.
Scores dropping through now, and it's a solid start for Moore. She drops in a 6.00, the 3-time Bells champion, 4-time finalist here at Bells. So she's got that little one sitting next to the big 3.
Yeah, and she's got a 6-point ride. That could be pretty handy in this heat.
So a 6-point start off for Carissa Moore. Great way to kick things off. And Tyler Wright took out a fantastic finish in quarterfinal number 2. She's down there with Kaipo Guerrero.
Tyler, 17.17. That was an excellent heat. How does it feel to really connect with Bells?
Feels amazing. As I said in my previous interview with Laura, it's been a long time since I feel like I've surfed like myself. Way too long. And, you know, it's been a game of patience and hard work to get my body back to where it's kind of meant to be, and to be surfing pain-free and just really enjoying and feeling like I can connect with, you know, the surfing that I like to do and just the way I surf. It's been a really long time, and to be surfing like this here, it feels really emotional and really connected, and very beyond grateful for everyone that's, you know, put in the hard work with us to get me back here.
You know, I mean, I've seen you be reserved before, but at the end of that 9-point ride, the celebration and the feeling that I got, what was the feeling for you when you completed that ride?
Yeah, it was, as I said, it's just all emotion. Really, by that point, I didn't even know what I did. I was just letting it out because, you know, I think in younger years I've held all that stuff in, and I just don't see the point anymore. Celebrate everything. I love it. I love competing, and I love having moments like that, and I just you know, even, I just don't feel like I've ever celebrated enough. So hopefully just trying to connect with that. It's just such an amazing feeling to be able to finish a wave and to do what we do out here. And so it's probably a bit wild for my usual me, but no, I loved every minute of it.
And we're loving it too. Now, family's all here together. Now we got Big Bro. He's coming up in the quarterfinals. So how do you switch gears now to the support squad?
You know, I just literally, it's instant. I see the little one, Bali, and my niece, Rumi, and honestly, it's like things change in my head. I'm like, now the goal is ultimate auntie. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I accidentally let them fall over things. I'm like, oops. But, you know, it's amazing to have my family here, to have my partner here, and to just be, it's been such a long time since we've had an event at home that people can come to as well. So, yeah, I'm wishing Owen the best, and, yeah, it's just cool to be somewhere where all my family is.
So great. We're going to see Tyler Wright in the semifinals.
Love it. Love that support system all around. Tyler into the semifinals again here at Bells, and little Volley putting some sidewalk chalk down with the support system for his aunt and uncle and his dad.
Taking the chalk to the asphalt, and you know, you can see a lot of gratitude there for the team that helped Tyler get here. It has been a struggle at times, and she's been through a lot.
It's pretty incredible to be able to witness her back in there, really feeling comfortable in the ocean again, and surfing the way that she knows that she can, not needing to hold back or not feeling physically like she isn't able to perform any better. It's so exciting that she's healed up and she's ready to go, and she's made it into the semifinals. She's got a really tough semifinal, Rabbit. She is going up against a 3-time bell ringer and the returning champion in Courtney Conlogue.
Well, we're at semi-final time. Of course, it's going to get pretty tough, and the big names are coming into it. The specialists at Bells Beach.
We'll see who matches up between Carissa and Steph, Brisa and Joanne for semi-final number 2. And sad losses for Bronte Macaulay, and a big sad loss for Sally Fitzgibbons, with so much on the line, sitting low but behind the cut, and now with an insane amount of pressure heading into Margaret River. Big hook for turn number 1 for Carissa Moore, up into the lip on the second one. Big wrap back, and now just patiently waiting for this wave to stand up for her. She's looking to back up that 6-point ride. Steph still holding on to priority out the back, and having to really put the work in to find some speed and flow into a great finish in front of the crowd.
Yeah, great, a good backup wave there, Carissa. And one thing we can see, Shannon, as that tide drains out, that middle section there that we saw earlier, you know, in the men's, they were able to get full-bodied turns in because there was a lot of water. But now with it's a really dead little section, and you've got to zig and zag and pump your way through that.
Having a look at that first turn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, good. I mean, those first 2 turns, I mean, it's a small wave, and Steph had a bit of a look at it, but this wave ended up being, and looks, she's really got to pump aboard and keep the flow going, and it was worth it.
Yeah, she really needed to generate her own speed through that dead section. Now on her way back out with 15 minutes on the clock. Steph Gilmore took off on that opening ride very close to the buzzer to get that 3.67 Rabbit. It's been nearly 20 minutes since she's taken off on another wave, and she's going to take the draw on this one. Pumped to start off. Into a big carve on that first turn. Engages with the lip on the second and goes down. That is a very risky section for Steph Gilmore, and a big mistake.
Yeah, well, you can see after that first turn, she kind of lost her balance, and her board was pretty much still facing the wrong way, and she had to re-engage, and it just wasn't quite right because she had a very critical section that she had to overcome.
Laura, you had a look at that exchange, that last one for Steph. What are your thoughts?
Wow, she just went for it, guys. That was such a critical bowly section, and she just went up and just did a massive jam, but she just caught her outside edge and just went down. Such a shame. That would have been, you know, one of the best turns that I've seen her do out here in a long time. So it was amazing stuff, but unfortunately, as soon as she clipped that edge, she just went down, and she was already throwing her head back, just bummed knowing that it was going to be incomplete.
Laura, what's the reset for Steph now? Would she be feeling disappointed or knowing she's got some time on the clock still?
This has been such a tricky heat. I mean, like you said, she took off in those first 3 minutes, and it's just been such a slow heat. Even, you know, that didn't really look like a big set, but it had a nice line across the bowl. But so it was good. It was good that she went for it then. But hopefully, you know, she can still get priority. Carissa's paddling pretty hard off the buoy right now, and it'll come down to whoever reclaims priority right here and can give it another shot. So yeah, Steph back out there. She's gonna have to wipe that one off.
And priority does go to Steph Gilmore. Thanks so much for the insights, Laura, from the lineup. Carissa in the lead as she has dropped in a 5.23 to better her situation. And the 7-time world champion, the 4-time bell ringer, Steph Gilmore, is chasing a 7.56 to take the lead away. Taking a Bonsoy brew break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It was so special to be a small part of Duke's dream. You know, he dreamed 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, that surfing would one day be in the Olympics. And here we are today. It is in the Olympics.
Going for a team shred on all of our fun boards. All my boards are intact. That means that I didn't charge hard enough.
Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Carissa Moore into the lead on that last exchange, dropping in a 5.23, putting a lot of pressure now on Steph Gilmore. Steph is sitting with priority at the back, but she's chasing a 7.56, and Rabbit, at this stage, it's slowed down a lot, so there's a lot more to consider than just having pumping bells and waves on tap every few minutes.
Yeah, so true, Shannon. It has slowed down a bit, and the only thing going for Steph right now is the fact that she actually does have priority, because she's having a bit of a shocker out there. But if she had pulled off that maneuver, it would have been one of the best of the tournament. It was amazing when you saw it in slow motion, but she just wasn't right going into it. This will be interesting now. He's a proper set.
And a great looking line, exactly what we've needed. So Carissa Moore onto the first one under priority. Nice slash to start things off with. Goes up and tries to release that tail to push a little bit too much, and she goes down. Steph Gilmore now on the second wave in the set, driving off the bottom into the lip on that first big carve. Now really opens up the shoulders on that second one, and she gets stuck up. She's gonna stay on her feet, possibly. What an unfortunate moment. Surface, texture, so much on the line right now. Rabbit.
Yeah, well, now that is an unforced error. And it looked like she was going to recover. But, I mean, I don't know whether that's nerves or what, but she had that one nailed. She had a good score going and on a great wave, and she was back in this heat. She was back in this quarterfinal. That is going to be severely docked by the judges, I feel.
What a shocker. Carissa Moore went down on her turn as well.
Yeah,
so
very.
Scores to come through, but for both of them.
Very uncharacteristic. I mean, Carissa's got a couple of backup scores there, but this is really strange to see both these world champions falling in at very unopportune times. I'm really not sure what happened there with Carissa, but she just overbalanced. Steph looks like she's really got something going here. She's surfing very confidently right here, and she comes up here. This is a trademark. Just she'll do that all day long. She's done a million of them out here at Bells, and she sort of looks like she recovered, and then she lost it again, and no recovery.
And you're going to see that frustration come out with the flip of the water. That was just shocking for both of those women to go down. Steph Gilmore gets a 4.4 on the scoreboard, though, so it does decrease the requirement into the 6-point range. But now Carissa has priority out the back.
Yeah, time will be a factor here. It's a pretty low scoring heat. I mean, it's amazing how many times this happens in sport. You have this unbelievable anticipation of like one of the heavyweight showdowns in the history, and it just is a bit of a fizzler based on the fact that Mother Nature just hasn't cooperated. There hasn't been many downtime heats. You think about the last couple, even though they were slow, there were still some bombing sets. Look at the score. Tyler Wright, 17-point combined total. Before that, Courtney's heat, and it was unbelievable.
7 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. And Kaipo Guerrero, what's happening?
We got a lot of stuff going on over here on the land. I'm here at Hydro Flask, where we have the Hydro Flask limited edition Bells Rip Curl Bells Beach gear right here. Hydro Flask, remember, Hydro Flask keeps your hot and your cold. They're selling out, so these are going really quick, but we got some other stuff from Hydro Flask too. We got our outdoor kitchen right here. All the utensils, all the gear you need to take on the road and seek that adventure. And speaking of adventure, the Hydro Flask Trail Series, super light, super packable, put in your pack. You can take it anywhere. Hydro Flask makes it easy to find adventure.
Hey, Kipes, cute Hydro Flask shirt.
Thank you. I'm on the team now.
Not a bad one. Thanks so much, Kaipo. Always good to have the Hydro Flask in the backpack, especially with long days on the beach here. Needing to stay hydrated for all of us working behind the scenes, as well as so many fans and so many of the surfers here at an extremely packed Bells Beach. Look at how many cars are in that car park.
Yeah, it's a big day today, and Good Friday. There's a great crowd. The Victorian crowd is always a wonderful sporting state. You know, they pride themselves in supporting their major sporting events, and this is one of the big ones.
Plenty of crew driving down from New South Wales, from Sydney as well, to get a piece of the action, and it's kind of a gathering point here in Victoria for surf fans from around the country to come and check out the famous Bells Beach. Down to 5 minutes, 50 seconds on the clock, and we've got so many fans tuning in and watching from the Cooper's Bar. Give us a wave to everyone that's tuning in all around the world, and it's just such a cool environment down here. Thanks so much for coming down to the beach today.
Yeah, great to see the crowd and everyone enjoying the hospitality.
Beach is packed as well. That tide is drawn out, as you mentioned, and plenty of hats have come out because we've now got some sunshine and the strong Victorian sun. Make sure to get all that sunscreen on. And now down to 5 minutes, 10 seconds on the clock. Looks like a little bit of a line rolling through for these two women in the lineup, and it's been a low-scoring affair between Carissa Moore, the 5-time world champion, and Steph Gilmore, the 7-time world champion. For both of these women, they have never done less than the quarterfinals here at Bells. They've both had incredible results, and now it will be who gets another semifinal advancement. But from their very rookie years, it's been at least the quarters. And now, with priority, Carissa Moore into that first big hook. Lines it up for the second, goes more vertical, throws a lot of spray, gaining that composure, exactly what she needed to do. Connected those 3 turns out the back, and now she sets up for the inside section. And an opportunity for Gilmore on the outside as Carissa
Carissa comes through with a powerful carve and starts to set it up on the beach. Spray flying out the back for both of these women, and Carissa with a powerful finish. Now will Gilmore be able to keep it together? She has a lip lining up in front of her. She's gaining that momentum, rail to rail through to the inside, and goes for the layback finish, and the beach goes wild.
Oh, what a great exchange between two world champions, the greatest of the sport.
And now the paddle battle to the jet skis to see who gets priority and has one more opportunity. Now this could be the exchange that changes it up.
And Carissa paddled very fiercely to get on that jet ski. She's on. She's taking it. She's on the back now. And Steph is waiting for that wave to go past. So just had to wait just a tad there, but priorities basically worked out on shore when it's a back-to-back wave.
That's exactly it, and I had a quick chat with our head judge earlier today, and he was saying that when it's, you know, in that situation, the surfers that get to the skis the quickest on the inside there most likely will be given priority. As we see a look at this one. Now she's looking to better a 6-point ride, Rabbit.
That's right, and you see there's a little bit of texture on the face now. A little bit of onshore has come into the plays, and Carissa making good work of this this slightly choppy wave, and she got 3 very strong turns on that outside bowl, Shannon, and she works it through to the inside. We know she got a great finish on this one too. So this is an awesome exchange. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we paid the entry fee for.
Yes. So Carissa gets the job done with 3 powerful turns out the back. Then we see this from Steph Gilmore.
Yeah, and look at this, a smoother face wave. All the chops gone on this one, so Steph can get a little bit more confident on this wave. She knows she just nearly buried that board again there. And she brings it on the inside, and from this point on, she gathers speed, and she knows she's going to do something. This is an awesome layback. That's a proper layback and recovery, all in one motion.
So fun. That just looked like so Steph.
Yeah, this is pretty much the best one today I've seen. Like, this is a layback Lenny special. And she uses the lip now to push herself back up. Just sublime.
Such a great finish. Now these two getting back out into lineup. Carissa intently paddling. Steph putting all the effort in as well. Brisa and Joanne out in the lineup. They'll be coming up in the next heat. Final quarterfinal for the women's matchup. And Carissa with priority. Scores have arrived. It's a 7.67 for Carissa Moore and a 7.83 for Steph Gilmore. She now requires a 5.84 to go from second into the lead and book herself into another semi-final appearance here at Bells Beach, but there's only a minute on the clock, and Carissa Moore has priority.
Carissa has priority. There's a minute on the clock. There are waves coming in again. Now, they are both just about in the lineup now. We have time for this set, and it is a set. There looks to be 2 waves in it. Carissa Moore has priority, and she's waiting to see if Steph makes a move.
30 seconds on the clock, and it's going to be Carissa Moore on the first wave. Will there be a second for Steph and an opportunity to answer back? Riss lays into the first turn, into the second. She's going to kick out, knowing that she wouldn't be improving her scoreline, Rabbit, but having taken the opportunity away from Steph. But now Steph with an opportunity behind. She's just chasing that 5.84, goes for a huge carve on that. First one goes in for the snap on the second, a bigger wrap. Nice and dynamic on that opening turn, threw in some variety between the 3 different types, and she's gonna link it through to the inside. And now it's all coming down to this wave. Carissa unlikely to increase her heat total, and Steph puts on a quick finish on the inside.
Well, a very exciting finish here to quarterfinal number 3 with 11 seconds remaining. Stephanie Gilmore gets a clutch wave. Now, we thought it was pretty much all over. They jumped off the jet skis. There was a minute 10 when they jumped off the jet skis. They got back in the lineup. We looked out the back. We saw 2 waves coming. Carissa really had to go that first wave, but if there was a pattern in that heat, it was the fact that Carissa was getting the first waves of the set with a lot of chop on the face. She's still got that 767 on her next to last ride, and it's all going to come down to this wave. A 5.8, basically she needs a 6. A 5.84, I guess she'd take a 5.85.
Scores are in, Rabbit.
No.
It's a 4.7. It is not enough for Steph to lock herself into the semifinals. For Carissa Moore, she's had great results out here in the past, but she hasn't made it past the quarter since 2016. So a great result again for her, building more momentum. The Hawaiian, the queen in Carissa Moore, advancing into the semifinals. Now Brisa Hennessy and Joanne DeFay will be battling out an opportunity to match up against Moore. Joanne DeFay, huge jam. Wow, that's fun surfing coming out of Joanne.
Sometimes, you know, you put the heads on and you're like, okay, we got to do what we got to do.
The surfer from Reunion Island, that'll be the best score by far.
Yeah, I'm still pitching myself for sure, but I guess I'll try to ride this as long as I can.
Brisa Hennessy, though, a great opening manoeuvre.
Big carving turn, beautiful hack.
Brisa Hennessy and Joanne DeFay have hit the lineup for the last women's quarterfinal of the day. We'll be heading into the men's quarterfinals after this with Owen Wright and Ethan Ewing paddling out. Brisa currently wearing the yellow jersey, hanging on to it after a big victory out at Sunset Beach, her very first championship tour victory. And it's great to see her still hanging on to that after an earlier loss at Portugal. She is out in the lineup up against Joanne DeFay, who's got a few championship tour victories to her own name. And this is going to be a really great battle. Shannon Hughes in the booth alongside the 1978 world champion Wayne Rabbit Bartholomew. And Rabbit, what a great day it is to be running the quarterfinals.
Oh, it's been an awesome day, and you know, the women are surfing unbelievable. After that last quarterfinal, gosh, it was so tough, and then right at the end it all happened. But, you know, it was an amazing win for Carissa. And then this one here, you know, Brisa has earned the yellow jersey, but she's up against a very, very tough opponent who looks so good at Bells Beach. So this will be a beauty.
Joanne DeFay really is one of the toughest in the pack. She made it into the inaugural Rip Curl WSL finals last year at Trestles. She walked away with a 4th place finish. She took out this one, Steph Gilmore, in the opening match, and Steph went down to Joanne. Joanne then went down to Sally Fitzgibbons. And how cool is this for these kids, getting the autograph of the greatest of all time in women's surfing?
Yeah, it is awesome. And of course, Stephanie, you know, she's so loved, and she's got such a huge following, and she always makes sure she gives all the time to the grommets, and so does Carissa. They're both wonderful, you know, representatives of the sport. They're really ornaments of the sport of surfing.
They really are. They've just set the standard, and they're such wonderful, you know, women to be representing that. Steph wasn't even able to make it out to dry sand before the kids mobbed her down to the shoreline, still with her feet standing in the water. We'll have a few kids with some wet shoes, I'm sure.
Oh, they won't care. There'll be sand in the car going back.
Oh, without a doubt, and that's what it's all about. Coming down here, getting to see the world's best, competing for the most iconic trophy in surfing history at the longest running event of all time, the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. And Brisa Hennessy on the inside section takes off.
Yeah, that little bit of ruffle on the surface now. We saw it come into play in the last heat, and we know that in those previous days when it wasn't a stiff offshore, the first wave of the sets carried all the chop and all the bump, and then as the set went on, you get two things happening. You get a better draw off the reef, and you get a much smoother face because all the chop and bump's gone.
A lot of time on the clock. Joanne DeFay now with priority out the back, waiting out the next set. And you can just see those flags starting to wave in the wind. And down the line, Brisa Hennessy now with a great face opening up, looking cleaner from that set before, just cleaning out the surface of that wave. Connects two turns together, and now she lines it up. Little hook and up into the foam. She's now hoping for a steeper section to finish off. And there we go, puts on a powerful punch. And she's now got this heat opened up.
Yeah, well, Joanne had priority, and she wanted that wave. She really paddled with a lot of intent to get it. She was very deep. Of course, Brisa just was on the spot because she had that earlier wave that she pulled through the whitewater.
Joanne now having a look at this one. Nice deep bottom to top turn combination to get things started. Lining it up for a second one. Carving back into the foam. Just finding that momentum with the wave. Matching the pace of it. Some great rail work as she comes through to the inside. And she goes for a similar finish and rides out so clean.
I'm really finding it hard to separate those two rides.
Really similar.
Really similar.
And a good exchange to kick things off, because now we're going to see where the judges go with each. The surfers are going to be able to get that in their minds and start making adjustments out in the lineup with so much time to go.
And they've at least both got backups in this one. The last one, it took a little while for Stephanie Gilmore to kind of get that backup score.
Scores to come through from the opening exchange. Brisa Hennessy kicked off a great start this year. Hence the yellow jersey on her back as we take a look at this one, Rabbit.
Yeah, great slashing turn to start with. Then she just brings it around, already in the dead section of the wave, but she's going back and forth, zigging and zagging and keeping her speed rail to rail. And she maintains that speed through that inside, and there's another little bonus section here, and you know, just finishes it nice, a very clean finish. And here's Joanne. She gets that one outside turn, and again, very similar. Like, she gets past that initial bowl section, so the 1 for 1 on the bowl, and then back and forward. This way, maybe just a little bit more body through this section for Joanne, but it seems to me to be decimal points will separate them. Probably a little bit more dynamic on the finish.
So still waiting for scores. Judges taking their times. They'd be looking at replays as well, comparing those two waves because they were quite similar, with maybe a better finish for Joanna, as you said there, Rabbit. And we did notice that there's been a bit of a texture change on the surface. I'd love to hear from you, Laura, out in the water. It seemed like in that last heat, they had a little bit more bump to deal with than what we saw in the second quarterfinal of the women's draw. Has it really picked up as much as it feels like it?
Yeah, I mean, the wind's been up, but the texture on the face has just really kicked in and is starting to cause a bit of havoc. And we saw that in the last heat. I don't think Steph and Carissa really took into account how much bumpier the faces might get, you know, throughout the afternoon. So we saw those fins skip out on those waves of Steph, and I know she'll just be kicking herself. She's done those carves over and over again, and just those little bits of bump, just yeah, kind of just undoing her a bit today. So, you know, super tricky, I guess, in that sense. But these girls have taken that into account. Pretty interesting start to the heat there. Joanne was playing a very strategic game with Brisa. She actually let Brisa have the inside and kept trying to sell her on the first wave of the set, and you know, eventually ended up going the first wave of the set when she was out here alone anyway, which I thought was maybe a bit of a mistake, because the one behind was super clean and didn't have that bump. So, you know, with that wind, they're going to have to identify the clean faces, and that's the second wave.
Oh, thanks so much. It's so interesting, Rabbit, just to see how much that texture has come into play, and there is still some clean opportunity depending on which wave they pick out in the set.
Well, it's going to depend on how many waves are in a set, and I do think the difference there was a difference. Brisa gets a 6.83 to Joanne a 5.5, and I think where the judges went tough on Joanne was that it would seem that there was a slight loss of control on that manoeuvre of hers, whereas Brisa was in control the whole time. But importantly, the scale has been set now for this heat.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The scale is set. Now the surfers know how to build from their score lines. Brisa locking in a 6.83 for that last wave with priority. It's Brisa Hennessy in yellow on a solid size wave, opening up in front of her off the Bell's Bowl. Big carve to start things off with, into that second big wrap back into the foam, and that chatter on the face of the wave, you can see her board just slicing through it, throws that stall-in just to keep with the timing and the tempo of this wave, puts on a really strong turn, throws some spray, and she's looking to build on that 6.83.
Yeah, she's looking to build on it, and I really do believe that Joanne really sold her on that one in some respects, because look how smooth this wave is.
Good rail work from DeFay on that opening turn. Unleashes more on the second. And now looking for this inside section to bowl up in front of her. She's got some speed. She's got a good finish to match. She'll cook out just down the way from Brisa Hennessy.
Now, even though that set was relatively close to the one before it, amazing how much chop turned up in the lineup.
There is so much chop out there now.
And it was all carried on Brisa's wave. And Joanne, the wave behind it, was smooth as silk.
So interesting to see the changes, and, you know, knowing from Laura and feeling it anyways, and seeing that the wind's already been up, but now that texture's arrived, and just that wave selection is such a key factor as we take a look at this one, Rabbit.
Oh, it's so chattery. Like, she's finding it really hard to get the fin set. And she's already out past the bowl section, and then we come into this section here, and she really is finding it hard as it gets, you know, point scoring maneuvers. She does finish it off here nicely, but I just think that that wave really hindered her scoring potential. Look how smooth this wave is for Joanne. Nothing major on this wave, but, you know, a solid ride, and that's a beautiful turn.
And then she finds this inside section.
Yeah, it would seem to me that Joanne got the best of this exchange.
So score starting to trickle through now. Brisa Hennessy's is not going to match her last wave. It's going to come through as a 4.77, which now puts the requirement at a 6.11 for Joanne DeFay. And taking the race out there on the jet ski. Now, when it comes to having that chatter on the face of the wave, how important is it for those surfers to stay low and compact, to really use that springiness in the knees?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if Brisa might be going, hey, a rethink on taking the first wave of the set.
That is one easy adjustment.
I mean, and it's easier said than done too, when your opponent's, you know, hustling and looking with a lot of intent, going, hey, I want this super badly, and as soon as you commit to it, they go, okay, I'm over the back.
Brisa Hennessy surfed her first ever championship tour event here when she won the trials at 16 years old. It was back in 2016. She's had one quarterfinal finish, and it was a 13th place back in the day. Joanne DeFay's had some great consistency out here. She's quarterfinaled 4 different years. Her very first year was a 13th place loss, as we see Ethan Ewing getting ready to paddle out against one of the greats in Australian surfing, Owen Wright. They'll be coming up next. He's down there in the Red Bull athlete zone.
Wow, what a matchup.
Just getting in some tunes in his ears and taking a quiet moment.
And I'm sure the guys are really taking note of this slight ruffled surface. And because the first 3 days of the event, we dealt with this, and it's really just an afternoon sea breeze. But what it does do is that, it was so clear on that wave of Brisa Hennessy. It was a big wave. She could only get a 477. It was so chattery she couldn't do any major maneuvers because she couldn't set her fins. Like those chops, they're not little chops. They're like a metre wide. And you can so easily lose your fins in between one of those.
Yeah, that's actually a really important point, is just how large they are. It's not something that's really small. Looking at it on a screen is sometimes challenging to really get that gauge of what it feels like in the ocean and that real perspective.
Yeah, it's not like you've got a howling nor'easter with, that you've got a super choppy surface. This is just a slight sea breeze afternoon ruffle, but the first wave of the set carries the whole thing with it. And it's really a major point, and it couldn't be clearer than in that exchange there, because Joanne got the 607. She came so close to taking the lead.
Owen Wright there getting ready alongside of his family, his wife Kidda, his little girl Rumi, and little boy Vali's been running around. He's been getting in the post-heat interviews. It's been really fun to hear him having some chats with the crew around the contest site, starting to feel really comfortable.
There's a lot of babies in there.
There are so many babies in the athlete zone this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. So awesome. It's a real family atmosphere down here at Bells, and Rip Curl and WSL really look after the athletes. The athlete area is so fantastic. It's so amazing. Back in the day, honestly, it was just a caravan on the hill, and we were sitting on the side of the cliff, which was pretty cool too, except when it rained.
Except when it rained, of course. Just imagine that. No contest site set up, no big stairs and bleachers and all of the things, just a caravan up there.
And then it upgraded to a double-decker bus.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Double-decker bus. Judges on top, VIPs on the bottom, athletes out.
I love that there was still a VIP section on the double-decker bus.
And athletes still out in the cliff.
That is athletes still out there in the rain. Carissa Moore with a close lead over Steph Gilmore in that last quarterfinal. She's into the semis and down with Kaipo.
Carissa, there was a lot of talk, 7 Bells titles out in the lineup, so it was an anticipated heat. How do you feel now overcoming that big challenge of Stephanie Gilmore?
Oh my gosh, I mean, it's always an honor to serve against Steph, and she's someone I so look up to, and she's gotten me the last few, few heats we've had in Mexico and in Margaret's last year, and so I was like really excited just to go back and forth and really surf. I knew we were both fired up, but it was unfortunate. I think, I swear, when we have our heats together, sometimes the waves just don't show up, but I know one of these days we'll get that banger of a heat.
Talking about tense moments, she did get to her feet with just 11 seconds remaining and could have got the score. What were you thinking then?
I kind of just, at that point, I surrendered to the universe. I tried to take the first one because I was like, this kind of looks decent, and there might be one in the back. She got it, and I was like, okay, it's up to the universe now.
Lastly, what's the preparations for the semifinals?
Oh, it's kind of a cherry on top. I'm just psyched. I think, hopefully this whole forecast holds up, and tomorrow or the next day looks brilliant, and we just get to surf and have a good time. I'm stoked to be in the semis.
Thank you for your time, Carissa Moore. On to the semifinals.
So fun. So smiley from Carissa, taking out a good friend and a hero in Steph Gilmore. And I'm so excited to see those semifinals get underway as well. Hopefully just some pumping bells. It's been such a blessing to show up every morning and just have waves on tap.
And I love her attitude too, surrender to the universe. I mean, I remember coming out of a couple of heats going, wasn't exactly that feeling. It was more like, Huey the surf god, you forsook me, you've forsaken me. Where were you when I needed you for that last wave?
Oh man, so Carissa Moore, she'll be matched up against either Brisa or Joanne, Courtney and Tyler in that first semi-final, and we will be praying and hoping that waves arrive at Bells for an epic finals day. And we've got a few days to pick through it, but it would be so fun to get those underway on Easter weekend with the beach packed and just so much anticipation of all the history here at Bells Beach.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Ronnie will run us through the forecast a little later on. And, it's still from yesterday's forecast, it still looked like it was going to be running through, and with good offshore winds, and that's a beautiful factor. And this afternoon we've still got great conditions. You know, not the first wave of the set, but here we go though. Here's Joanne, and she's trying to get that 5.54. Not much required there as a nice layback there.
Nice layback, little snap to start things off. Backs it up with the layback, throwing in a little bit of variety. Lining it up now for the inside. Having to put in that work, that pressure on the front foot, really pump along and create her own speed. Now to put a little tag on the finish. So easy for Joanne from Reunion Island. Walked away number 4 in the world last year, coming into that world title conversation for the last few, which has been really exciting to see. And now with a score to come through to try and chip away at that requirement from Brisa Hennessy. She's chasing that 5.54.
Yeah, well, it's not asking a lot, but you got to think back to Joanne's first wave. That was a 5.5, and compare that ride to that. I'm not certain. It had a very weak ending to it. And it was a smallish wave, but she allows her opponent, Brisa Hennessy. She's got priority. She's got the yellow jersey. She's got the lead. Well, she might still have the lead. We'll see what happens.
Scores through a 3.67. It doesn't factor in for DeFay. Hennessy out in front with priority, in control. 14 minutes on the clock. And we got a Bonsoy brew break. More action after this.
I love the aspect of like bringing people together through food and just sitting at a table and talking about life. And I think that's really enriching to me because I really believe like we're here for connection.
Back when I was younger, I used to be doing gymnastics and dirt biking, and those sports you kind of have to have no hesitation. So I think that's where a huge point of my confidence and believing in myself and doing those things helped me with surfing.
This is my local beach, so any opportunity to keep the beaches as clean and healthy as possible, that's what I want to do.
It's just good to show that it only takes a little bit and you can make a big difference.
Help us protect the future of our sport. Go to weareoneocean.org.
Welcome back to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. I'm Kuiper Girl, and I'm here with Tours and Competitions, Jessie Miley Dyer. We got some news for you.
Yeah, this is actually going to be the last heat of the day. You know, I think that what we're looking at tomorrow in particular, there's still going to be waves. There's still a bit of energy on that buoy reading, but it is a little bit slow right now. So we're going to finish here at the women's and come back tomorrow.
We got a lot of stuff done today, Jess. We got a lot of great surf. Some of your best memories from today, because I thought it was an iconic day.
Oh, God, don't make me pick someone. I mean, the thing, I guess for me, it's just being back here and, you know, it feels like we never left. And Bells is a really special place for a lot of people, especially at this time of year. So it's been awesome just to see all the action and to see everyone really firing up.
I agree with you. I think we came in here with a troubled forecast, but honestly, the magic of Bells just showing through, and Bells has delivered, gang.
So true. Bells has absolutely delivered. I think that's a great call to call off the men's quarters. It was looking really good as we headed into the women's quarters. It was still really pulsing, some great action available. And the Tours and Competitions team just taking a look at things. So now Ethan Ewing and Owen Wright no longer in the jerseys, but still going to paddle out and get a few waves regardless, Rabbit.
Yeah, when I saw Ethan putting the Qantas jersey on, I was a little surprised. I thought, geez, I tell you, it's really deteriorated. It's
I felt the same.
Only the wind, you know. There's still swell, but as Jesse said, and I think Ronnie pointed out, there's still some good swell around, and hopefully tomorrow we'll have those beautiful offshore conditions, and I think we will.
An exciting weekend of surfing ahead of us. Down to 10 minutes, 45 seconds for the final heat of the day, wrapping it up with the women's quarterfinals. Brisa Hennessy, currently world #1. She's had a great start to her season. It's her 3rd year on the championship tour. Her rookie season back in 2019. She was a rookie alongside of Macy Callahan, and they had a great start to their careers that year. Brisa now locked in her very first championship tour victory this year out at Sunset Beach after a quarterfinal finish at Pipe. Feeling really comfortable. Of course, she represents Costa Rica, but she's at home in Hawaii, if anyone is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And spent a lot of time in Fiji, where I think she got caught in the whole pandemic, and what a place to get shipwrecked.
Yeah, she had some great waves at home. She had some opportunities to surf big macking cloud break during that time as well, and really just spend some time with her family. She's so close with her parents. It's been fun to see both of them down here at Bell's this week and baking some cookies, dropping some off in our green room, and they're just such a lovely family to have around.
Yeah, and you can see those conditions now, that onshore flow definitely affecting the lineup, and not a lot of glassy sections for sure. It makes it really tricky because it does, you know, all morning the first wave of the set was fine. You know, it's still with that crisp offshore, and it didn't have all that, you know, there was no chop whatsoever. It really made the whole set surfable. Now you need a 2 or 3 wave set. You need a 3-wave set really to make it fair.
Yeah, really looking for some good conditions through the weekend to finish out competition. And now these two, maybe more strategy coming into play, a lot of patience, some good decision making needed, especially with that priority next to Brisa's name. Joanne DeFay is such a strong competitor, finishing off in the top 5 for last season. She's been a world title threat now for a couple of years. She hasn't quite walked away with that result, but she really has been in that conversation for the last 3 out of her previous 7 seasons. And it's been exciting to see her growing in that momentum as the more veteran surfer on the women's CT.
Yeah, and Joanne's you know, an amazing surfer. Look, she only needs a 5.54. This heat is poised at a really critical stage. We've seen Brisa pretty much taking the first wave of the sets, and we've seen Joanne really paddle with a lot of intent to get them. I think she's been selling them on her, but I think now Brisa might have cottoned onto that. I'm not sure, obviously. We'll see. But see, you know, that's where Joanne is quite wily as a competitor, and she knows what she's looking for. She knows it is the later waves in the set.
She is a very fierce competitor. Her partner Simon always alongside of her, and they just spend so much time training in and out of the water, really keeping her ready mentally for moments like this where she's coming from behind and she's gonna need to figure out how to get that victory, and keeping those fitness levels up. The two of them has to be two of the most fit surfers that we have out here on any given day in the lineup. And now the moment, 7 minutes, 30 seconds on the clock. Joanne DeFay is gonna go. Brisa Hennessy lets her have this one. Joanne now with a big foam climb to kick things off. Around the section, drifts that tail a little bit on that first turn. And now just a slow 2-part turn to carve back through a flat section. Again, pumping through to the inside. She is looking for that 5.54, and she's gonna need a good section here to get into that range. And there we go, nice click. Is she gonna get another opportunity? There it is, she is feeling it, that emotion coming through from Joanne DeFay.
Yeah, that was, that little fist pump there was, I kind of think it was more an appeal than it was an acclamation of a successful ride. I mean, even though she got that double ending, let's have a closer look at, and I'm sure the judges will, at that start. It was a couple of foam climbs, and we'll see how that goes. Again, it's going to be compared to both her last ride, but that 5.5, that first ride of hers, is the scale has been set at that one, and I'm not sure whether she reached those heights.
Let's take another look at it here.
Sees a little bit of the lip collapses a bit and a couple of phone climbs there. That was a little bit more spicy, that one. But I think she might have needed a little bit more bowl action. I have been wrong before. Let's see.
It does seem to be, though, the story through the entire event is getting those two really solid maneuvers on the outside section.
Yeah.
Then lines it up for those bigger scores.
That's right. And she just never, there was no buckets. Like she's such a powerful surfer. There was no slashing turn on the outside bowl. And it's a 4.73. An improvement on her last one, but it really adds nothing to the picture. Maybe, Brisa would have been making a bit nervous to see what she did get, but Brisa's still sitting out there cool and calm with priority. She's got that yellow jersey for a reason.
Joanne DeFay now on her way to meet Brisa out at the top. Scores through. It's a 4.23 for Joanne DeFay. It does not move into her top two as we take a look at the Harvey Norman recap for Brisa Hennessy. Found a quick start with that 6.83.
Yeah, there's a quick start for Brisa. And you can see that it's a little bit of a smoother face. That's actually the smoothest wave she's got. Now she gets this real chattery wave through the bowl. It's a 4.77. And it was a bigger wave, but she didn't get a lot of opportunity to work on this one. She has to bring this through to the shore. She gets a good finish on it, and that really helped her out probably about a half point.
Yeah, that finish was so important. Joanne DeFay answered back on a solid-looking set with a cleaner section.
Yeah, and this was a 6.07 for Joanne. That was a great turn there. And she ran out of bowl, but this was a pretty clean effort. I nearly thought this one could have gone a little bit higher, Shannon. It was, I guess based on the fact it was a clean one, and she got that second big snap in. She's got a patented snap move, and she pulled it off on that one, but it is what it is, and it's a close heat.
Yeah, I've also really liked Joanne surfing in this one. The score is unreflective of that. She's chasing a 5.54 to overtake Hennessy. Joanne sitting at number 6 on the ranking, so she's in a pretty decent position, but wants to keep it into a lead heading in to the rest of the season with 3 minutes 45 seconds. Kaipo's down there at FCS.
Hey guys, I'm at FCS where they have been leading in the surf hardware category. We got the new series of the Eco Blend fins, the Eco Blend traction, and as well we have the Freedom Helix leash, all eco-friendly. The traction is incredible. We got the fins in all of the popular templates, the Carver, the raked fin, the Reactor, the upright fin, the Accelerator with the fuller tip, and your neutral performer. It's good stuff because Felipe Toledo uses FCS grip and fins, and you can check out FCS and Felipe Toledo's signature fin all on display here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach.
Well, if there's a fin you want, it's definitely Felipe's. Down to 3 minutes on the clock. Joanne chasing a score. And here we go. She's got an opportunity for it now. Up into the lip on that first turn. Bumpy section. Goes for that little rail grab, tail slide on the second, throwing in a great bit of progression. Now let's see what happens on the inside. Is it gonna line up for her? Is it gonna give her the opportunity to chase down the score? She's working so hard for it. And it's nearly starting to stand up. There it is for the finish. And she's feeling it, Rabbit. Chasing a 5.54. Laura Enever, you got to see that one. It's going to be close.
Wow, what an interesting situation. Brisa just giving that wave to Joanne. It was one of the sets that we have seen in the last 10 minutes, and Brisa maybe thinking there was going to be 2 in it and allowing Joanne to go that first one. It was bumpy, it was choppy, but wow, Joanne she just squeezed the lemons out of it, and throwing those fins on those fluffy sections, and yeah, going pretty progressive there. So I think she just really turned that one of those crappy first wave sets into something pretty special. So that's a third attempt at the 5.5, and she might have just got there.
As we take a look at the replay now, thanks so much, Laura, and it's that veteran experience carrying her through with great wave selection and some progressive maneuvers, Rabbit.
Yeah, it really was. She got that tail slide there, and this wave is amazing because I think Brisa's now going, well, I'm not taking the first wave of the set, and now this might have been the one to get, because That one's a happier ending because that was a stronger ride for sure, but it's going to be still borderline, and it is not quite enough. Shannon, it's a 5:07.
Wow, as we take a look at the slow-mo, that tail drift slide grabs the rail, and the judges not rewarding it with enough to take her through. She was chasing a 5.54. She gets a 5.07 rabbit, and that is a nail-biting finish for Brisa Hennessy.
Yeah, well, there's 44 seconds remaining. She's made quick work of that rotation on the jet ski. Let's see if she can get back out the back, and she's on the paddle now. There might be another wave there, but don't forget, Brisa's got priority, and there she is in the yellow jersey in the lineup with 28 seconds remaining.
And Joanne has such a far paddle now to actually get into the takeoff zone, so she's in the lineup, but to get into some of these smaller sets, she may not have the time to even get to Brisa.
And Brisa can just burn the clock off knowing that she's in the lead.
Brisa with some great results so far off of her first championship tour victory out at Sunset, now looking for another semi-final to her results this season. And her coach, Glenn Micrel Hall, with the claps there. Brooke Ferris from Rip Curl feeling very stoked to see their girl Brisa making it through with a clutch performance over Joanne DeFay.
A big win there for Brisa Hennessy into the semi-finals once again. She's a winner already on tour, and the yellow jersey, she's wearing it well.
Proving that she is a world title threat this year, just her third year on the championship tour. The changes she made in her off season are paying off so significantly with a tight finish. Look at that, 11.60 for Brisa Hennessy, 11.57 for Joanne DeFay.
Half a turn.
Splitting hairs between the two. Incredible. We'll be back with the post-show. Stay tuned as we break down everything that's gone down today.
Either rise or you fall. I'm on a mission, bringing my dreams to fruition. I ain't playing at all. Bring out the body bags, I'm about to kill them, deliver them to the mortician. I gotta do what I gotta do. That's for my vision, back in my face. I gotta do what I gotta do. I pray to God, he never came. I'ma do me, I'ma do me. That's in my blood, I'll never change. That's in my blood, I'll never change. That's in my blood, I'll never change.
You're watching the WSL Post Show here at the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach Top 4 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. finishing up some heavy action here on Good Friday in the state of Victoria. World number 1, Brisa Hennessy, continues to succeed as she's into the semifinal with a battle with world number 2, Carissa Moore, as they will fight to hang on to a yellow jersey into the final at Bells Beach. Pretty scrappy heat there with Joanne DeFay. Came down to a .03 decision in Brisa's favor. And it was so interesting in Portugal when she was knocked out of the event. She kind of was like, well, that was nice, kind of referencing maybe the yellow jersey would be gone. I feel like this second chance that she's feeling to hang on to it is just giving her more and more confidence as she's into one of her best results of her career at Bells Beach. Joe Trappell with Shannon Hughes, Richie Lovett here on the Harvey Norman host set. Pretty dramatic day. You saw kind of those last couple of heats of the day, Shannon, from inside the booth. Conditions got a little smaller, a little bit more challenging, but Brisa still looked powerful out there.
Oh, Brisa looked great. Her surfing was right there. Absolutely deserves the yellow jersey with no doubt and to be in that world title conversation. But it was a real challenge for the surfers. They had to make a lot of adjustments that I think they wouldn't have been prepping for, having seen the conditions we had on offer this morning.
Yeah, thinking about this morning, it feels like a different day. It was really glassy. We got great surf through the higher tide as well, Rich. We had some big moments.
Yeah, there was amazing conditions today, and this onshore breeze that we have now, it actually wasn't really on the charts. It was supposed to be offshore all day. So the unpredictability of Bells Beach continues to astound us. We didn't have any swell at the start of the forecast, and we've seen some of the best waves I've ever seen at Bells for this event. So go figure.
It's been so special. Now we have a good opportunity to catch up with our world number 1. Brisa Hennessy is with Kaipo.
Thank you, Joe. Brisa, how good is it to be Brisa Hennessy right now? Yellow leaders jersey, and you're in the semifinals.
Oh man, yeah, it's pretty surreal. That was definitely a really tough heat. Made some mistakes there at the end, and Joe is an amazing competitor. And you know what? I'm still trying to find myself, and I think it's a constant journey of who we are as humans. We're constantly reinventing ourselves, and you know, there's so many highs and lows. But I'm grateful. I'm going to try to ride this high as long as possible.
Well, let's talk about your journey. Fell off tour, came back through the Challenger Series, got on tour, your first CT win. Momentum, yellow leaders jersey, now your best result so far ever at Bells.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I think your journey for every person is so different and beautiful in so many different ways. And, you know, I never cried so much last year in my entire life. And I felt like in those moments, you know, where everyone can break through and kind of dig deep and kind of find themselves in a different way and kind of be uncomfortable, those are the most beautiful moments, and I wouldn't take last year for granted or do it over again. You know, it's definitely made me who I am today, and I know that there'll be many low moments in the future, but yeah, it's all part of it, isn't it?
Well, enjoy this moment right now, Brisa, and relish in it. Brisa Hennessy off to the semifinals, Joe.
That's right, Kaipo. What a role that she's had, getting really comfortable in this yellow jersey. And Kaipo reminded her of that journey that she's been through. After Mexico just last season, she went through that emotional feeling of I'm off tour. And then at a condensed Challenger season, she won a major event in Europe. And she's right back where she belongs. It's all momentum for Brisa, going through the highs and lows of competitive surfing. Fun part for Brisa, she's on top of the world.
Oh, it's so special to see her holding on to that jersey and really just soaking in that moment, because it is fleeting and it could change. And I mean, for this one, she paddled out and conditions were so different than what she would have prepped for today that anything could have happened. So to see her just living in the moment is really special.
Well, it was a pretty heavyweight day when we think about Bubble Watch. There's so many legendary human beings on the wrong side of the cut. And it was pretty devastating to see the look on Sally's face going down to Courtney Conlogue in the quarterfinals today, and also losing one of the greats at Bells, one of the all-time greats, to Carissa Moore. Stephanie Gilmore out of the contest. What does that mean for her chances to make the midseason cut, Rich?
Oh, she's making things pretty difficult for herself, both Stephanie and Sally, actually. Although I feel like they will make a bit of a jump up the leaderboard. There's still work to do when we get to Margaret River in Western Australia. But that name there that's highlighted, Courtney Conlogue, she's the one that's charging through. She's going to rocket up the leaderboard here, and perhaps even with this result, she's going to get herself out of trouble. I don't feel like she's done yet either.
Right, and remember, 10,000 points for a CT victory. Courtney Conlogue looking for a 4th bell if she can do it this year. That would be very impressive to put her up in the better part of the rankings heading into Margaret River. Courtney takes on Tyler Wright. Tyler saying that she hasn't felt this good in her performance in almost 4 years. Carissa will take on Brisa Hennessy for a battle for the yellow jersey. If Brisa makes the final, she'll stay world #1. We'll watch that closely. But I think the celebratory story is Tyler looking for her first bell, finding her form again. That's got to be such an amazing feeling as a 2-time world champ, to really feel like you're back.
Well, it's that thought that she wasn't feeling that way. That's what's the emotional part of it. And now to know that she's back. She's surfing so well. She's got her team behind her, the whole family down here. And to really see her being able to just perform to the best of her abilities, that's what's really special about this moment.
Steph just taking it all in with her coach, Tommy Whitaker, after a tough loss to Carissa Moore. Just the energy of that heat was definitely challenging, Rich. There was falls on both sides, a couple of little errors. It felt like she didn't find a quick rhythm that you always expect from Stephanie Gilmore. You have to wonder if the pressure of the season was on top of her in that heat.
Had to have been. It's the only explanation, really, when you think of Steph's performances over the years at Bells Beach. You know, she's so reliable. And for some reason, she was just a bit off in that heat. And like you mentioned, Carissa was a bit off too. So the door was open for her, and Steph had the opportunity right at the end to open up on that last wave and turn that into the score. And unfortunately, I whether it was fitness, she just couldn't convert on that final wave, unfortunately. So she's just digesting right now the gravity of what's going on here. It's a must-win situation in WA, or close to a win. Once we get this event done and we actually know the points race, that'll give her a clearer picture. But you know, it's tough right now.
It's crazy. Yeah, well, a lot to really look at number-wise. 1 throwaway from the first 5 events. That's obviously pipeline for Stephanie Gilmore. Unfortunately, she couldn't compete, but now she's got, you know, semifinal Portugal, quarterfinal bells. It's going to be a lot of pressure heading into the West as we go back to the world champ seed. Carissa Moore and Stephanie Gilmore, the most decorated athletes on the top 17, and to see them on the bowl. The crowd filled up for this one. Things started off a little bit slow, but Carissa definitely looked strong with her carves. It still felt like she was in a low gear waiting for a bigger wave to come through, but she definitely looked solid, Shannon.
And it was at the start of that heat that it was still pretty glassy. The wind had been up, but that texture hadn't hit, and it was about halfway through, and that's where both of these women went down with slips that were totally uncharacteristic of the 2 best in the world. For Carissa to be able to keep that momentum, though, that confidence moving forward, and to stay really solid on her feet, took her to a victory over someone who would be one of her deadliest threats out at a wave like Bells.
When you see Gilmore connected to the ball, it's like she has so much flow, so much style and rhythm, and there was highlights of that throughout this heat, Rich, but from start to finish, she had to do some big recoveries, like that layback to recover from a couple of stumbles before that wave.
That was a sick turn. I love that little progression hit on through the inside there from Steph. And well, like you said, you know, Bells and Steph is like strawberries and cream. They go together pretty well. And yeah, Steph just maybe not taking advantage of that outside bowl enough.
When you look at the 783, that was courtesy of the big layback finish for Gilmore. So she put herself in a position to compete. And now all focus on Margaret River to see if Gilmore will stay on tour for the back end of the season. You know, also when you connect Steph to Sally, those are 2 big Australian names. I mean, those are crazy profiles to fill if they're absent from the tour in the back end of the season. We're talking about over a decade of highlights and big moments on tour.
And thinking about the fact that the beach today was packed with so many little girls. How many of those little girls have posters of Steph and Sal as their Australian heroes on the wall? To be down here to watch them perform, but also that heartache of losing to a crowd like that.
Oh, as we review the tape, Courtney Conlogue versus Sally Fitzgibbons, both in a similar situation of their career, both with 12 wins apiece, both Bells champs, both in the wrong side of the cut, needed a huge win today. It was all about Courtney taking control at the start.
Yeah, Courtney just surfing with so much intent, aggression, right off the get-go. The start of her waves, and just from start to finish was blasting each and every section. Complete roundhouse cut back there. And look at the conditions. Just beautiful. And those carving, arcing, full acceleration through every turn. And I think Sal just got overpowered in this heat. You know, she wasn't on the biggest waves, and well, she tried valiantly to fight back, and she did do some great turns, but just there was a difference in power that was undeniable in this one.
You could just see how flawless Courtney's power was. Sally surfed well in the smaller waves, but hit so much more. Courtney Conlogue, these two have had so many big moments in their career together. And we'll see if Sally can pull off a miracle heading to the West. The Australian legends will have their work cut out for them when we head to Margaret River. But for Courtney, her job's not done yet. She was sitting so far back on the rankings, Shannon. She's thinking she's got to win a bell to even have a chance to be at G-Land.
Yeah, this was a massively important result for Conlogue's career. Not even just like for the, you know, to win another bell, but literally career on the line. For Courtney to have advanced past her good friend Sal. They've been traveling together since they were 14 years old, not just on the CT, but in boat trips and so many different things. So for them to have that emotional battle and then to see that camaraderie of the two, you know, Sal just wants to see Courtney go all the way now.
It's so interesting to see how our veterans could potentially hang on and what's at stake for them in the next couple of events, Richie. I mean, it's not every day that you're saying goodbye to legacies on tour. You think about the era when Rochelle Ballard moved on, you know, Keala Kennelly. Saying goodbye back then was just as hard, but when they're under pressure to requalify, you know, the world will be watching every single heat come Margaret River.
Yeah, they'll be watching every single heat. They'll also be watching what they do if they do drop off tour. You know, will they go back on the Challenger Series and save themselves and get them back on tour, because that's the reality of this tour now, and it's the reason why it's set up the way it is. You fall off, you go back and you do some hard yards, you get back in the trenches, and then you make it back onto the Dream Tour again. So it'll be really interesting to see. You know, if Sal doesn't make it, I feel like she will go and grind straight away.
She's in the draw for Gold Coast.
Well, there you go.
Her and Courtney.
You would have to think that Steph will probably do Snapper Rocks because it's her backyard. So I think both our women, if they do drop off again, will compete in that event. The long-term forecast from there, a little bit unknown.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot to just enjoy this year. New formats, new Challenger Series, and we'll see what those veterans end up deciding. Waiting in the balance for the results at Margaret River. Bubble watch on the men's side, just as exciting. Remember, top 22 will move on to G-Land, and we see the names still standing behind the cut. Well, it's one name there, Owen Wright, as he will have Ethan Ewing in the quarterfinals. Jack Robinson was happy that he's the last man standing in that five-way tie for 18th that we started with, and Callum's been nothing but brilliant. He'll have Miguel Pupo in the third quarterfinal. Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that Owen Wright is still in the mix means there's some hope for him there. He's coming into this with less than 3,000 points, though. There's a lot of work ahead of him between here and Margaret River, and some tough matchups in those quarterfinals. He's got Ethan Ewing, who's been one of the performers of the event so far.
That's going to be a classic to watch. We've got a rematch from the final in 2019 in quarter number 2 with John and Felipe. Miguel Pupo is turning in his best start of his career. He's probably going to move into the top 10 after making the final series here. And Callum surfing out of his skin, beating one of his heroes earlier today. Jack Italo matchup. Ferreira looks like he might be in contention, Rich, for yet another bell this year.
I don't think we've seen Italo get out of fourth gear yet, to be honest. I think there's plenty more to give, and perhaps we'll see it tomorrow if we run. But it's interesting that third matchup is the only all-natural footer matchup. Every single other one is a natural versus goofy. So some really good surfing, some really good matchups, and a critical one to start things off with the two Aussies. Owen, it's a must-win, and for Ethan, obviously everyone's expecting him to do well out here.
Some big moments throughout the day today. Felipe Toledo is one of the best performers when it comes to competing on the Bells Bowl. He's looking for his first win out here. He's been runner-up in the past, and he looked incredible against Connor O'Leary today, Shannon.
I mean, have a look at those conditions early this morning. For him to be able to have waves like this, to push that progression, and to take out a well-fought battle against Connor O'Leary, who also had a lot on the line. It was a really impressive performance from both surfers. To Connor to be able to match back, but Felipe was pretty much unbeatable.
Cool to see Connor swinging for the fences. He got a 6.83 and a 6.17. Solid turns there, but definitely Felipe was putting a lot of power into his momentum on the 7.83 and 8.43 for a solid combined total out front, Rich.
Yeah, some of the biggest waves of the day. And, you know, you think years back, you think 6 to 8 foot Bell's Bowl is Felipe a favourite? Perhaps not, but now he's fixed up that rail game and he is one of the favourites out here. I was chatting to him yesterday afternoon at his house, and he was telling me that he's gone to a longer board here for Bells, a 5.11, which still seems short, but his normal board is around 5.9, so 2 inches longer. And why did he do that? Because he wants to be able to extend those turns, sit on the rail for a lot longer, and it's just looking beautiful for Felipe out here.
And what a great opportunity for the title race for Felipe Toledo, last year's runner-up in the world. You look at that final 5 picture, he's the last man standing, came into Bells number 4 in the world after runner-up in Portugal. So he's in a great position to fight for yellow with Kanoa knocked out in the round of 32. O'Leary's going to try to stay focused to make the cut, but the goofy footer had some brilliant moments throughout the day today. And it's interesting where you get your matchups. You know, you always want to see Felipe and John battle it out again because that was about them fighting for the big bell last year. Well, that heat's going to come early in the quarterfinals, Shannon. Looking forward to that.
Really looking forward to it. I think they've both really been stepping it up. For me, it's going to be John's the one to beat at the contest. The scores that he was dropping yesterday, can anyone touch them, really? If it's, you know, if he's on the right waves.
Oh, it was brilliant today, yesterday. I mean, you got to talk about John every time he's at Bells. When he's got a big wall, he's got the biggest carves in the business, and he had a little payback in store for Morgan Siblick. Siblick got a lot of hype in his profile from knocking out John in back-to-back events last season. Well, John in bigger waves completely took him out today, Rich.
Oh, man, just watching the replays here, it really was a clinic of power and rail surfing. And I'm just thinking back, if there is anyone who's going to be able to push John out here in this sort of form, it is Felipe Toledo. And it'll all depend on what is delivered up in terms of surf conditions. But, well, you know, hats off to Morgan Siblick. He did perform really, really well. I think just got a little let down with wave choice, and it was quite an inconsistent heat as well, top of the tide. But John, he picked the eyes out of it, got the best waves, and just delivered on each and every turn. A trademark carve where he sort of dehinges the top and bottom part of his body is just so unique. No one's drawing the lines that John is doing, and it's got him sitting right at the top of everyone's pick.
He's got some of the biggest carves in the world. He's world famous for what he's done at Mainbreak Margaret River, but also here on the Bells Bowl when he's got kind of a canvas. He can lay into it with so much power. 817, 907, a big combo that he put on Morgan Siblick. That puts Siblick in a very scary situation for the cut. A guy that finished 5th in the world last year is under pressure to qualify for the back end of the season.
Yeah, there's so much pressure on Morgs right now, and coming off that high of a rookie season that's just unbelievable now to come into, and he's got some gritty work to get done, and so far hasn't quite been able to find the results to keep him in the mix.
It's so true, and obviously different events from last year, Rich. He found his feet through surfing at home at Newcastle, surfing in Narrabeen. He beat John in those events, surfing at Rottnest Island. You know, there's not a lot of the same events happening this year, so now he's kind of getting used to Bells, really as a rookie, competing on tour.
Yeah, it's uncharted waters for Morgan Siblick at the moment, and everything seemed to come too easy last year. You know, up the top of the ratings, beating the best in the world, and he was going, well, how easy is this? I've got it made.
Easiest job ever.
But second-year syndrome, we see it happening so often, and it's a steep plummet back down to reality. So he'll find it again. It just may take a little while for him to reconnect and find what he needs to make it work.
Looking through the quarterfinals, they're set and ready to go for the men's side as we have so many big highlights, but earning the moment of the day, the Boost Mobile wave of the day. John Florence in back-to-back days of competition. gets this top honor, 9.07 that we just witnessed that he applied against Morgan Siblick. Shannon, what'd you love about it?
Just the engagement of the rail, the variety of the turns that he brought through. It's no surprise that he's gone back-to-back on the waves of the day here at Bells Beach. It's everything we would have expected, and really when he's on the right waves, I just don't think there's a rail game that can be any better than John Florence.
So powerful. He uses that layback to his advantage, and it's one of those turns that's so lethal. I don't mind seeing it as much as we do. It doesn't get old. He has so many different versions of a layback carve to a layback blowtail, and every time it's going to demand an excellent scoring ride.
Yeah, he has that ability to switch it up a little bit and make it unique to whichever wave he's riding, and he keeps the judges engaged in what he's doing. You can never get tired of watching that because it's still unpredictable, even though you know it's going to be magnificent in terms of the rail engagement and the power. And that's the unique thing that he's bringing, so he's untouchable at the moment.
Oh, so many good things to talk through on this Good Friday on the WSL Post Show. Big shock is thrown to everybody sitting in the car park right here on site at Bells Beach, as everyone is joined at Cooper's as well. Much more to talk about, including the top 5 right after this. You are watching the WSL Post Show on this beautiful Friday afternoon. A lot to celebrate, especially when you're getting perfect bells. Let us know how you're feeling after a good ride. The fist pump, that's a classic. When you doubled it up, that really has a whole lot of meaning, and that's actually a pretty casual one for Italo. Not the case for Sammy Pupo. He still had energy after that one. Tyler's back, and she's ready to roar. You got to really express yourself. I mean, claims are always going to be around in pro surfing. Shannon, how do you feel about it?
You know, occasionally they're cringe, but there are moments when it's just so fun out there that you have to let that emotion free. And Tyler said in her post-heat, you know, it's not usual of her to do that. She's all about it now, and I'm backing it.
Richie, does everyone claim on tour? Is it fair to say that? Is there such thing as a no claim?
I'm trying to think who doesn't claim, and I'm struggling to come up with a name right now because, you know, obviously there's some repeat offenders that bring it on all the time. But for me, I like to see it reserved for the really special moment, and it's got to be in the excellent range or a super clutch moment in a heat where you steal it or something like that. So
8s are better.
8s are better.
You're allowed.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm going to go with that. That sounds great. Well, let's check out the Surfline forecast to see what we could have as we're getting near to finals day here at the Rip Curl Pros Bells Beach. Thanks so much, Schaller Perry. for letting us know we were going to score the last couple of days. What do we have to look forward to tomorrow, Rich?
Well, I think it's actually going to be more of the same, if not bigger. These purple blobs just keep delivering this southwesterly swell that's fetching up into the Bells Beach region there. We're on the corner of the bottom of Australia there, right up just above Tasmania. And, you know, it's been a blessing that we've had this swell on tap for the last couple of days because it was looking horrible for the first few days. So tomorrow we're looking at a kind of a side offshore wind in the 5 to 8 foot, but look at the period, 14 seconds. That's what we want. It's those real long period swells. The wind's going to get a little bit unpredictable towards you know, deeper into the weekend. So we're going to have a serious look at tomorrow. We may crown a champion. We'll just have to wait and see, but we'll be here bright and early.
I can't believe what we walked into when we showed up at Bells. This surfline forecast didn't look like that. We're absolutely scoring. When we drive up to the contest every morning in the dark, there's that electric sign. It says pray for waves in the beginning because it looked like we weren't going to get anything to surf, and then now it says prayers are answered. We're scoring. It definitely feels like a gift to have some of the best surf we've had all season the last couple days.
Yeah, it's exactly what we would have hoped for, but not what we were expecting in any way, and that almost makes it even better. It's like that real blessing has arrived. It's Easter weekend. There's waves on offer, and everyone's ready for it and excited because we didn't know we were going to have that opportunity.
The Southern Ocean is so volatile that it can change so quickly. There's always these big storms developing, and thankfully for us, we've had a couple just pop up and they've sent this magic swell to us.
So cool. Now it's time for the daily top 5 on the WSL Post Show, starting at number 5 on the list. How classic was this? We love a good paddle battle. Felipe and Connor O'Leary catapulting themselves off the ski here, Rich.
Yeah, this was, well, it was eagerly watched by everybody. And as they both got off the ski, it was kind of neck and neck. And then Felipe just put in the big ones and managed to get priority at that point, kicking, paddling, diving deep. And these guys, their boards are so thin, you know, they're kind of like,
they're
almost swimming.
They're swimming right now.
They're pretty much swimming, but yeah, you can see just how desperate they were to regain priority. Look, at the end of the day, regardless of the situation here, I think Felipe just outsurfed Connor, who was taking nothing away from him, surfing amazing all through this event and in this heat, but today I think Felipe just too good.
Coming at number 4, Steph Gilmore. How was that layback, Shannon?
One of my favorite things of the entire event. I honestly don't know how she pulled it back, aside from the fact that there was just a little boost from God and that wave shoved her back to her feet. And such a cool classic move.
Such an impressive maneuver there. Number 3 on the daily top 5. Owen Wright staying alive. He's matched his personal best result at Bells. He knows he has to go much further to survive the cut line.
Yeah, well, he started the day with some amazing surfing, really opened things up for us. And Owen, in a clutch situation, has just, he's really lent into Cahill Belwarren, local lad with plenty of coaching experience. He's made a couple of adjustments. He said he's tweaked things around a little bit, even in technique-wise, style, arm positioning. And it really seems to be working for him. Some of the best backhand surfing we saw all day.
So steady, so reliable. He was on the best sets, and that's been making the biggest difference. He got past Nat Young this morning as well, and Owen even gave Nat a huge compliment, calling him the modern-day Mark Occhilupo. He knew how dangerous Nat would be here at the Bowl as a previous finalist. Owen's trying to keep his spot alive on tour. And number 2 on the daily top 5, Mick Fanning versus Callum Robson. Definitely one of the heats of the year.
This one gave me goosebumps. It was wild to watch Callum come from behind, where Mick had some great waves, but Callum just brought it all through. He had the energy and the desire, knowing that his career is on the line, and he really wants to make a statement here, not only in his rookie year, but against one of his fans, an all-time Australian surfer in Mick Fanning.
And it was crazy how this heat started with mistakes from both Mick and Callum. They both fell on their first waves. This was right on the high tide. I don't know if they were ready for it to pulse like it did, and Mick had this lead all the way until Callum's last wave, Rich.
Yeah, Mick was, he was surfing, I think, at about 90% of what we could expect from Mick. He just wasn't quite connecting the rail like we're used to seeing, and I'm being particularly fussy on those comments. But Callum Robson, you know, he put in a masterful display of power surfing, and you can see just really accelerating and loading up on each and every turn. And it was that final wave that he just had to surf it out of his skin, And he had this final section that sealed the deal for him. And, well, that was it. We had to farewell the 4 times champ.
So cool. Mick Fanning in his 100th heat surfed at Bells. Callum broke the streak of quarterfinal appearances in the last decade for Mick Fanning. And when Callum learned that, he said, there we go, I got him. Like, he was so proud to be the guy that was able to break that streak against one of his heroes. He knows what a big scalp that was. Moving on into the quarterfinals, taking the #1 spot on the top 5 is Tyler Wright, back in form into the semifinals.
She is so hungry right now. It's so exciting to be able to just see her surf, to find that rail engagement, to go for those laybacks, and man, especially at a spot like Bells where she's come close to taking home the big trophy and she hasn't yet, and I gotta believe she's got that desire and it's burning inside of her to take it home.
Something's just clicking into gear for Tyler. I think I was mentioning this to you, Rich. I was like, I haven't seen her connect it with a wave in a long time, and I think as soon as I finished that sentence, she blew up on the bowl. It truly feels like she's back.
Yeah, she's here and feeling good. Equipment's good, the body's good, the mind's good. Everything's starting to click. Warning signs for the rest of the women in the field.
Tyler Wright has a couple small bells. She's been runner-up a couple of times to Carissa Moore. Now she's trying to hunt down her first title here. It's kind of crazy to think this is an event she hasn't won yet. And in the press conference, she said, that's all I want to do. It's like the one major goal that's popping out to her this year, to win the big bell. So far, so good, but she has to get through Courtney Conlogue.
She's got the toughest in it. I mean, Courtney's really dominated over the last 4 years. She missed the opportunity in 2018 to compete because of injury. Steph took that one, but out of that, it's been Courtney that's been untouchable here. Now for Tyler to see if she can get her name right here on this bell. It's the only mainstay Australian event Tyler hasn't won. So that's got to be itching in the back of her mind, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top between those two.
Really cool looking at the quarters for the men. Rich, I haven't heard your favorite to win on the men's side. Will it be John defending his title here at Bells Beach?
I know the obvious answer is to say yes. I'm going to go with Felipe.
Look at that. Yeah. So Felipe in the rematch for the final in 2019. Shannon, agree or disagree?
I'm going John. The surfing that we've seen the last 2 days, the scores are undeniable, and I got to just go with a favorite.
Loving that. So a couple of great picks.
Joe?
Make sure you're... Oh, me too. Yes, exactly. I thought Felipe from day one. I feel like it's his turn to ring the big bell. Maybe we'll find out tomorrow morning. Enjoy the rest of your Good Friday, and we'll see you bright and early for the call. It's a Good Friday here in Australia. Bells continues to pulse with some dreamlike conditions as Owen Wright preparing for the first heat of the morning.
Nat Young is up on a good-looking wall.
Owen Wright surfing for survival.
Belts it.
Wow.
Owen's on fire.
At the back, Jackson Baker is a little Aussie battler. Is right on the tail pad.
The dark horse always wins.
This is just right in his wheelhouse, isn't it?
Comes down to this sort of thing, though.
The showdown in the F1. The paddle battle is on.
Whoa, Felipe Toledo.
Whoa.
We see John Florence.
The trademark layback hack.
Mick Fanning, the 4-time Bells champion.
Look at that.
Oh, just gets swamped.
Chloe just absolutely goes nuts on this wave.
Miguel Pupo
just has such a fluid action.
I want to make a project that's on decks. I want a nicer car and no stress. I want more money, no debts, and I want to care less about trying to impress. Like, I want to make a project that's on decks. I want a nicer car and no stress. I want more money, no debts, and I want to care less about trying to impress. I want to make a project that's on decks. I want a nicer car and no stress. I want more money, no debts, and I want to care less about trying to impress. Like, I want to make a project that's on decks. I want a nicer car and no stress. I want more money, no debts, and I want to care less about trying to impress.
You know, back in the day, we used to finger pop on the corn and everybody was high strung. A little bit of soul on the radio didn't hurt nobody, baby. We was jamming. So certain. In a vinyl groove.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.